time for the shop report with
Barbershop Jay.
Here we go. We're going to dive right into it. So currently, again, this is just for the conference itself. Currently, Wisconsin is at the top of the standings. They just took a very bad loss yesterday for those that watched on Big Ten Network, which is actually playing in the should be in your scope, aka behind me. And they took a bad loss at Happy Valley. So it was an unhappy valley for them. And a Micah Shrewsbury-less Penn State Nittany Lions, who have been some home warriors of late. Even, again, this is a team that lost their head coach, lost Jalen Pickett, matter of fact, I'm almost positive Miles Dredd was on last year's roster, called the game. That's how much things have changed for Penn State year over year. 2/3 of their scoring was either playing in the NBA or in the arena, and unfortunately was not eligible anymore, athletically speaking. So, but yet, keep this in mind here. So when I say it was a bad loss for Wisconsin, it was bad all the way around. They led. This was not like, a 6-point loss on the road in the Big Ten, court storming, sure. But it wasn't that. It wasn't just that. They led for 17 seconds in that game. Meaning, and look, I watched it. That was not a full crowd. It was not 100% capacity. Basically, it was not Assembly Hall yesterday. Speaking of Assembly Hall, we're going to jump right into it. My Boilers went in there, nearly gave me a heart attack after halftime because they went into halftime and in my BPMs were up there. And because they looked like who we thought they were in typically November. So they went and took care of exactly what they were supposed to do yesterday. And what I love about it is, if you recall about a year ago, Purdue being the heavy favorite, this is a three-peat, pun intended, with the Pete there, champion of the Big Ten. This is your Big Ten leader. This is your, by all, I have no problem saying it. This millennia, this is your Michigan or IU or Michigan State, whomever you'd like to call it. The only thing that has not translated is simply not limited to Purdue themselves. It once again sounds very football-esque in saying it expands to the entire conference. We haven't won a title since, unfortunately, Michigan State went and did it with Izzo in, I believe, 1999. So that's the current state of affairs that everybody's dealing with. So can Purdue go and do what Michigan ultimately went and did in football? History says no, but if you look at teams like Virginia that happened to lose to a 1 seed, or I'm sorry, as a 1 seed to a 16, the following year, again, they actually encountered my Boilers in that process and ultimately won the whole darn thing. Michigan, of course, historically didn't exactly look like a team formidable as it pertained to the, how they performed against TCU the year before. Came back, won the whole darn thing. So I wholeheartedly feel like this is the year that the Big Ten is going to get back into the true realm of relevancy. We're starting to rewrite some new blue bloods, if you will, because of things like COVID years and also graduate years. I want to point that out too. Did you know there's a player out there currently? I believe he's on BYU, graduated high school the same year as Jason Tatum. Yeah, that Jason Tatum. Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, who's in like his 7th year in the NBA. This kid's still playing college basketball. So, for those of us who loved Ryan Reynolds in Van Wilder, with NIL money, it, as much as it pains me to say this, because I said to myself, look, if I was making anywhere from 35,000 to, or naturally well north of that, as many of the men's programs are capable of paying these days, would I really be in that much of a hurry to get a job, to give up the dream? Yep. Yep. Oh, yeah. Well, and rightfully so, right? Rightfully so. They took care of business. Now, here again, we're talking hoops now. So, unfortunately, we got. I'm going to need you to keep that same energy because as you saw, I had to scroll in Google terms below the fold to find you. Now, the Fab Five were in attendance, all of them. All of them. They were able to make amends before. Who's that group again? Um, with Bobby Brown and those guys. New Edition. They made amends before New Edition did, I believe. Don't quote me on that. However, it is great to see all 5 members in attendance. But I believe Juwan Howard is on the clock. Because if this right here, is this the Michigan standard? I don't think so. I don't think so. Chrysler Arena. You have a phenomenal wrestling team right now. Phenomenal. Went in the transfer portal and won it. Just absolutely won the transfer portal. But we're here to talk about hoops. Where is the miss for Mish again? What is happening? You had a great win against Ohio State. You have, arguably your best player in Doug McDaniel, who is merely a prop for you at home games now because he's not eligible to play. Again, coach's decision. From what we're told, it sounds like it's academic. He doesn't travel with the team at all, to away games. I get it. It really kind of starts saying academic issue. I don't want to go to the ankle monitor route. Don't want to do that to him. So you look at a very depleted team who needed that scoring. You lost Jet Howard. You lost Kobe Buffkin. You lost Hunter Dickinson. Matter of fact, you even lost Jordan. Mr. Love before you even had him, Caleb Love, who's at Arizona. Is it bad luck? Is it the heart surgery? He's got a great assistant coach that he did a wonderful thing earlier in the year in allowing him to coach against his son. Wonderful. A lot of respect for that. But here we are, nearly halfway through our season, and you're sitting at 7-10. Does that sound like the Michigan Standard? Does that sound like the Fab Five? Did they earn some eligibility back? Should we give them a pair of shorts? Let them suit up? I don't disagree. I thought it was an incredible win. Someone I've been very speaking of that game. I empathize for guys like Chris Holtman. He's had arguably some really good quality prospects that bloomed too soon, if such a thing can be said in at the state of college, athletics today. He had a couple freshmen, of course, Bryce Sensabaugh being one. Um, just the most recent, rather. They still have guys like Bruce Thornton. They got the transfer from Minnesota with Mr. Battle coming over, with Jamison Battle specifically. And you have Zed Key coming off the bench, but he's stuck around. Arguably, you have Akpara. You made the change there, and it's still not quite clicking. That loss to Michigan, to me, couldn't have been more reflective of two programs potentially going two different directions, or what we may find out is one is simply dragging down the other. And unfortunately here, where I'm sitting, I don't know how much more patient the fan base is going to be for Ohio State. They've avoided up to this point in the season playing some of these guys here near the top. I really do feel what you're seeing here is very much a reflection of the current status of the entire conference as a whole. It is very even. I do not want to be down here. When was the last time you seen this? Izzo. Are we? Is it just? Is it the Make a Wish shot the other day? Is that what you guys have kind of been, just dwindled down to? You kept. Don't tell me Joey Hauser meant that much to you guys. I don't want to hear Hauser had everything to do with the success of the team. But this isn't the standard. This isn't the legendary. Is he getting soft in his old age? Is it NIL? Is he the Nick Saban? But in college basketball, has the game passed him by? I disagree. I don't think so. Matter of fact, has he had some bad luck? Sure. Jeremy Fears. You have Jeremiah Fears playing out in Arizona right now. To my knowledge, has an offer from Michigan State. So again, there you go. Another 4-star kid. Well, you know what? You tell me, was it any different? You won the game. Congratulations. And yes, I'm happy for the kid. I am. Oh, great. It's 2 more points than I have in college basketball. But at the end of the day, you can't tell me he's not having a couple antacid. Looking at 2 and 4. That's not good enough for Tom Izzo. I mean, this is this the same school that produced Magic Johnson? What's that? You are below Penn State, who didn't have a coach. Chris Holtman has lost first round draft picks consecutive seasons. And I'm very thankful for it. As a Purdue guy, I'll acknowledge it. Megan, matter of fact, may remember the tongue game, as I call it, from the gentleman who plays, I believe, on the Pacers these days. And it came down to the wire. We won the COVID year, and it was absolutely a nail biter. And Jaden Ivey has only made about 4 3-pointers ever since that day. So, the fact of the matter is, they have an excuse. We look at this Michigan State team, and they blew out Baylor. But look at this. Are you really learning anything against Hillsdale? Oh, no. Big bad Arizona, who couldn't do anything against Stanford. And just embarrassing. I don't even believe they're ranked anymore. And so, where do we go from here? It is a long season. But this right here, are we at a must-win time in our lives for Michigan State? Now, to me, these two right away, you got to steamroll both of these teams. Steamroll them both, get to Wisconsin, and then you got a dice roll. But at home last year against Michigan, you guys beat them by double digits. Wasn't even close. Now all of a sudden we're making the case you're at 5-4, potentially 6-4. We're moving you right up here, somewhere in here. All is forgiven. All right, we're going to be joined by Gully here soon. However, again, see, here it is. There's the R word. There's the R word. I knew it was coming. Has he lost it? Again, I said just gave the case, but if you look at, I thought this Maryland to me is one of the most frustrating teams because I've sat here for years. I've watched them go and beat my Purdue team, doing essentially what the Nebraska team that's on behind me managed to do, which was let shooters shoot and let them have the game of their lives, respectively. And then they'll go to the very next game. And matter of fact, anywhere outside of College Park, they will just completely look like a shell of themselves. Pun intended, turtle. We get over here to this team. They walk into Champaign, Illinois. I get it, no Terrence Shannon. But ever since that has really galvanized that Illinois team. And sure, it might help with the Green Goblin as your coach. But whatever it takes. You had Coleman Hawkins balling out. Luke Goody. Hadn't really seen much from him prior to these last few games. Goes off. But then Julian Reese shows up and absolutely just first of all, he fouls out. He makes Coleman Hawkins foul out. Okay, Zach Edey couldn't even do that. Purdue people argue, yeah, he should have got a tech. Was pretty animated with some of his calls that didn't really go his way. Debatable. They didn't call it. But he fouled out at home. That's even more impressive. Is he tired of living in his sister's shadow? I don't know. He's the 5-star kid. I'm watching the kid from South Carolina last year who's in Memphis getting starting minutes. That team won like 5 games last year. 5-star center. Team doesn't win anything. Begrudgingly enters the draft. And now he's getting starter minutes with John Morant, of course, out for season. But yet Julian Reese is stuck around. He has help around him. I was a little surprised Hunter Dickinson didn't go to Maryland as much as he had somewhat of an issue with Maryland specifically. Oh, it's going to be a minute for him. Yeah, and he's not saving you today. Uh-oh. But again, on the Maryland topic, can this be sustained? We've seen what they're capable of with that 2002 win with Steve Blake, Juan Dixon. I know that just probably is a shot to the heart in the Maryland faithful, but speaking of shots to the heart, oh my. Iowa Hawkeyes. You have Purdue coming in this weekend. Fran was in tears with his latest win, making him the greatest coach in Iowa Hawkeyes history, at least statistically speaking. But you get the kid from Valpo. You give this freshman some minutes by way of his son, Patrick, getting hurt. I thought they were dead in the water. Megan will know that I listened to her brother a little bit and thought that Iowa was on the downside of it, right? This is not the Luka Garza team. No Weiss Camp. No great shooters around them. And then lo and behold, here they come. I still think they can finish probably for my Big Ten tournament here. I would probably bump them up. They could probably get that 4 for me. That's their peak for me. Put them as that number 4 seed for the Big Ten tournament. That's their ceiling for me, unless something crazy were to occur. As far as Minnesota goes, I'm going to get Ben. Is Ben Johnson the coach of the year in the Big Ten? You may say, well, wait a minute, they're 500. Their best scorer last year, Jameson Battle, goes to Ohio State, as I mentioned a moment ago. We see Ohio State right here. Not looking good. Not working out. Chris Holtmann, again, I feel for him. He's lost incredible people. He recruited the kid from, I want to say from Vegas, that should be arriving there. So help is, again, on the way. But has he learned a lesson with playing freshmen? I'll go back to Michigan State. You got the kid from Cathedral. You got the kid from La Lumiere. I mean, these are names, people. Year in, year out. And you get the help. Again, you got Malik Hall. You got Hogard. Tyson Walker. All of them come back. All of them. And we're at 2-4. I'm just going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it until someone tells me why. Uh-oh, here we go. Wow. Okay, so some are, this one size fits all may not be the answer. And that's what I asked. Has the game passed them by legitimately? Does he have to coddle these guys now? I think, again, uh-oh. Hey, you know what? You know, it's hard to argue based on Greg Gard after being hit. His team is at 5-1 here, so maybe it did. You know, maybe we're all wrong, or you're both right. Rather that you know, having someone loud and mean made him a better coach, even. So just don't hit Matt Painter. I don't think he'll respond the way that that Wisconsin did. Um, All right, so I'm diving back in. I'm just kind of again going to wrap this portion of it up with Nebraska next here. Minnesota, I think they're going to stay right there. Just to kind of final thoughts on Minnesota. Dawson Garcia, great player. Wilcher, they have some veterans there. The Deron Payne has improved this season. Looks like you know, slim but bulky. So the right type of weight addition. Um, but again, still very youthful. Just consistency. This is going to be a good foundational building block. They got railroaded when Jamison Battle left. Many don't know this. They also had a pretty solid recruiting class coming in, and one of which was a 5-star player, um, and he decommitted. I almost went to check who that person was and where they're at since that decision was made, but so again, to essentially be obliterated, only returning, you know, about half of the players you had, no real assistance coming in from a recruiting class standpoint. The fact that they're here, not at the bottom, they've already won more games. You know, we're in the middle of January. They've already won more games than they did all of last year. Big improvement. Speaking of improvements, guys playing behind me here with a lead at the Ruckers, at the rack. No barbecue sauce at this rack. Nebraska. Keisei Tomiyaga. Lethal shooters. Put them in the category as Pistol Pete. Then there's this, for the average guy out there that had hoop dreams, there it is. Tomiyaga is your answer. Yes, their coach looks like the, you know, Two-Face from Batman. Yes, his son is the backup point guard. But Fred Hoiberg has found a way. I was deeply concerned this time a year ago. Would he be retained? I could see what they were building. Believe it or not, for as unsuccessful as the team has been over the last few years, they've had some pros, one of which plays for Charlotte. Good players, quality players. But they really, outside of that, he's never had that guy. So if anyone's doing more with less today, you know, if you look at, I showed Iowa a little earlier, you had the Murrays for the last 2 years, the Murray twins. You know, those are 4-star kids that if Kenyon isn't on that team, they don't go there. No way. No way. Nebraska, on the other hand, letting the Teen Wolf go is a monstrosity in itself. It may cap the ceiling for this team. And if those aren't familiar with who the Teen Wolf is, he has joined Washington, who is also coming to the Big Ten. That's why they're being aforementioned here, along with the headband, as many called him or referred to him, Paul Mulcahy from Rutgers from a year ago. very much kind of the spirit, the heart of those Ron Harper Jr. Rutgers teams. And I'm pretty sure his grandfather was like the chancellor of the school, so that doesn't hurt either. But anyway, that doesn't tell you the kid loves the school. I don't know what else will. But again, Nebraska only has that football championship since, when they shared it with Michigan. Basketball and a great volleyball school, no doubt. Finished second to Jermaine O'Neal's daughter's team with Texas this past year. I've lost count between them and Wisconsin. If anybody else has won a Big Ten championship, maybe Penn State in the last 10 years. But we're talking hoops. Why am I able to fill your arena for a volleyball game or your stadium? It tells you the support's there. So don't give me the mid-market, middle of nowhere nonsense. I don't want to hear it. Fred Hoiberg, again, an Iowa State product, comes here to Nebraska. I'm telling you now that that home win against Purdue, I believe they've beaten Michigan State this year. Matter of fact, we'll go dive right into it. Here we go. All right, so no, look, they're taking care of business, right? IU gets pummeled. Oh my gosh, just look away. Don't let the kids see. Then, yeah, respectable loss. Now, something I'm going to bring up is both of these teams here use different basketballs. For those that don't know, there's about 3 different basketballs, really a handful more that can be used. Wisconsin specifically used to use their own. Michigan fan, this is to you too. You, John Beeline, with Beeline as your coach, had a ball called the Rock. Something along those lines. I believe that's what it was called. And so, again, this is applicable to you too. Again, Purdue comes into town. They use their basketball. Nobody knows how to shoot it but them. They go to Iowa, and that's the thing. This game, despite it almost being a 20-point blow, despite what it looks like with being a 20-point blowout, it was not. It was very close. But again, how do you respond? How do you respond at Rutgers right now? Rutgers right now, they were up 6 at the rack. But closing this segment out here, again, they got some great home games. This is it right here. I'm telling you, this is the meat and potatoes of their season. At home, Boo Booey. Then Chris Holtman's crew. Oh my. Oh, you know what? Right here. This is it. This is it, folks. This is an L. I don't know. I won't answer that. This is a win. So I'm going right now. I'm saying win, win, win. Nebraska's for real. I can't believe what I'm saying. You heard it here. But so we're saying add 5 more wins to this team. At 8-3, I'm telling you right, is Nebraska going to get a double bye in the Big Ten? And here we go. All right, we got some help here. All right, everybody, welcome D Gully from the Columbus.
Yes. How we doing?
Oh,
how we doing?
We are going, and we are going. We're going crazy in some ways. I just live here stated that Nebraska may get a double bye in the Big Ten tournament.
Strong statements.
Yeah,
clearly tell we haven't lost our sponsorship with Lucia.
Nope. You're kidding. Oh my gosh.
Well,
speaking of sponsorships, I haven't said a word yet about. I haven't paid any bills yet, and so we're gonna go ahead and do exactly that. And so, give us a time out. We're gonna go take a full time out here.
Take a full. All right, cool.
I'm Jordan Gudeman, and I'm the founder and CEO of Eddie G's Cookies. I was first diagnosed with a nut allergy when I was young. At the time, there weren't a lot of labeled items that said if there may contain nuts or there are nuts in the food, so my brother and sister and I baked a lot at home, and we enjoyed treats from mixes and things like that, but I noticed that it was not the same as what my friends were enjoying, and I started making up my own recipes. When it was time to pick a career, I decided to start a bakery so I could share my treats with everybody else. When I started creating my recipe, I was taking in all the things that I thought I was missing out on. A soft, chewy center, a crisp outside crust, and a taste that is just like it came out of the oven at a bakery. When I put all those things together, I had come up with a recipe for a dream cookie. Eddie G's Cookies only uses the finest ingredients. We have all natural flavorings, no preservatives, and every cookie is made in a nut-free environment. The best part about Eddie G's Cookies is that they can be delivered right to your door. You can share them or not. We won't tell.
All right, welcome back. We are back. And all right, I'm going to wrap up this segment here really quickly before I jump off the deep end too much or the Lucia runs out, one or the other. Simply put, my final top four standings here going into the Big Ten tournament. Again, we're halfway through the season, but just how some of this has played it. There's always those outliers. Nebraska is that both Nebraska and Northwestern are those outliers. They don't. Northwestern, that is, doesn't have Chase Audige this season. They still have Ty Berry, again, the Christian school in Kansas. He's a product of that. Sunrise Christian, rather. Annual powerhouse in AAU. Additionally, again, Boo Buie, they go where he takes them. They lost guys like Ryan Young, who transferred to Duke. They had lost, some other players just through, just the attrition. I think it's kind of finally caught up to them. They were able to storm the court against Purdue, but you definitely saw it. It took overtime this year versus the previous season. Learned they use a different ball as well, but I digress. With them, I could easily see them finishing just slightly above, 500, but they will go where Boo Buie takes them. As far as IU, Mike Woodson's team, I don't want to say stick a fork in him. The freshman that I saw yesterday.
Yeah.
I get it. He tied his shoes while Zach Edey at 7'4" went and got his hands dirty on the ground. And that's going to be a lesson for him. However, I don't believe that they don't have it this year. They don't have the shooting that they need. They don't have the heart that a Trace Jackson Davis gave them, or a Race Thompson, again, a glue guy at that 4 position. They have Xavier Johnson back. He was somewhat of a turnover machine. Has not unfortunately played the same throughout the injuries that he's had. But again, those freshmen, if Mike Woodson decides to turn a page and maybe take a page out of Chris Holtman's book, start giving that kid more minutes, because he looked like the real deal to me. Scared me a little bit. Let's just say that this kid was in foul trouble gully in the first half yesterday.
Yeah.
Purdue was up 20. Okay. He comes back in naturally, right, to start the second half. You
just muted yourself. You got so excited.
Exactly. And I think that was the Purdue faithful trying to say, don't say it, don't tell them.
Yeah, because you showed up right at your cliffhanger, right at the payoff. I didn't hear what you said. He came back in 20-point lead in foul trouble, 20-point. You muted again.
Yep. So simply put,
I want you to say it.
and it was an 11-point lead before we knew it.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, like less than 3 minutes, dude.
Wow. 9 point. Oh yeah. That's official right there.
And it looked like it was going to end badly. Kind of that cliche Purdue loss on the road, up big, they collapsed, nothing's changed. Sky was falling. Sky was falling, at least up here. So we'll move on again. So just to wrap up these last two, Illinois, again, terrible what happened with I don't want to just with this Terrence Shannon situation. Those guys, unfortunately, they played well. I think they're capable, but that loss to Maryland at home, it makes me iffy a bit. Again, to me, I've stated before, I've been a huge fan of Maryland's program. They had help over these last few years. They didn't struggle to recruit despite the lack of success that the team has had. A shell of themselves, as I use pun intended, from that 0-2 championship team with Juan Dixon and Steve Blake. Just again, an incredible roster. But when you lose to a team like that at home that has traditionally, again, for context, Maryland did not win last season on the road.
What?
Right. So you're a top 10 team. You're at home. And a team who did not win a year ago on the road walks in and beats you.
What?
I would feel a little questionable about the status of my club there.
Maybe that's the shock to the system that you need. You know what I mean? You might need that. Like, hey, take nothing for granted. Like, seriously, like, hey.
I'm going to throw it out there.
All right.
Terrence Shannon, who was their leading scorer, has been gone for the last 4 games due to an incident that took place, alleged incident that took place when the football team was in Kansas. He apparently went on his own accord, did some things that were potentially, again, allegedly, not up to par, and the school has distanced itself. But they came out, they galvanized them a little bit. That was the difference here. That galvanized this group. And yet, maybe this is kind of that come down effect, like you're mentioning. They kind of banded together. They lose at Purdue in a heroic effort, mind you. They only lost by like 5 or 7. It wasn't. Yes, the game at some points were at 13, 17-point leads, but you still battled back. You still did some things that suggested, okay, maybe I should take them a little bit more seriously without him.
Yeah.
But Julian Reese, again, 5-star kid. His sister is Angel Reese, originally committed to Maryland, obviously at LSU now. I think she's playing this evening even. But clearly talent runs in that family. And
sure.
And he did a phenomenal job. He was one of many. The point guard did a great job also in Illinois. So I question a little bit. They should be a top 4 seed going into the Big Ten tournament. But as far as Purdue goes, I'm gonna say this, dude. If they don't lose any time for the rest of the month, so I'm gonna show you their schedule just really quickly.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't see. Listen, man, I would.
So they're 5-2 now, right? Second place.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Here's what we got. So they just went to IU again. Biggest victories in Assembly Hall since like the 1930s. So like pre-World War II, which is pretty impressive. And then you go to Iowa City. I mentioned Fran McCaffrey's son got hurt. This is the one who's battled some mental health things in the past, but this was a physical injury, like an ankle or something. This freshman comes out of nowhere and starts going off.
Yeah.
And so did they, I don't want to count them out. I don't want them to overlook this game, even though this is not your historical Iowa with the Murray twins or Luka Garza and some NBA players that they no longer have. This to me is going to be a landslide, no problem. But here, I always stop here. I don't care what their record is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the last time we've won at the Rutgers. I don't. I honestly don't. I don't know if we have. That's like, you know how much that hurts? I don't know if we have one. I think there was one game, and it was the same year that Iowa did it, and I was like, wow, that Iowa team barely got out of there. And are they any good? And yes, I learned very quickly, who the Ron Harper Jr. was, and who Paul Mulcahy is, and countless others. There's Malat Mag. It almost sounds like trauma, So nevertheless, I will never write off this game. 1 o'clock on a Saturday or Sunday, it sounds like.
Oh, really?
So
they're giving them. I want to say prime time. I'd say premier time. Like,
yeah,
that's a big time of attention. You know what I mean? For those who watch the college basketball, who are big fans of the culture. I would have to say in recent years, I've become more of a fan of the college atmosphere. But there was someone that I was listening to that described why they don't like the college game, and they put into words something that I saw but I couldn't articulate, and it was that the college game for some reason tends to be too pass happy. So it's a whole lot of passing. It's like, okay, a better shot than a better shot than a better, but shots sometimes come when you sometimes want players to kind of take over games. And so when I look at the college athlete or I look at the college game, sometimes I get a little bit of that. I think they pass it for the sake of passing, like they want the perfect shot when that really doesn't exist. Though I think I still prefer a bit more of everyone being included in the pass happy game than perhaps the one-on-one, the ISO players that can that are quite plentiful in the NBA. And you can see where it leads to a slowed down game, a game that the team makeups are catered to a ISO player, which makes for boring, for me makes for boring basketball altogether. Because I mean, obviously, my favorite team of all time has been the San Antonio Spurs,
right?
And it's the the Popovich era Spurs, or the Tim Duncan era Spurs. And how they played the game. That being said, looking forward to this season. Whoa,
yeah. You see why I don't want to write them off? This doesn't count. This is neutral court.
Yeah.
Since the 2019-20 season.
Yeah.
These are all L's.
Yeah.
Just once when it was at home.
And wait a minute, this is versus
Rutgers.
This is versus Rutgers. Well, every team ain't Rutgers, man.
Well, no. But again, what I was referring to is what was coming up here on the schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, and so again, when we were going, so I said, Purdue, if they do,
you muted, bro. I feel like the ghost of the Boilermakers do not want you to say. Listen, you. I feel like the ghost of the Boilermakers, it don't want you to say what you need to say, man. I think you being silenced, bro. You being pre-canceled.
And rightfully so. But if they do not lose in the month of January,
I tell you what, maybe you can't say it. But see, I'm not a Purdue fan, so anything that you say, I trash off. So I tell you what, text me what you about to say, and I can say it for you. You know what I mean? And then we can. So let's see what we got. What we got going on here at the Ohio State University. All right. So yeah. So what are they looking like for? Wait a minute. It's the 17th now, right? So we've got Iowa, Michigan, Rutgers, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Indiana, Minnesota, Ohio. Okay, so it's all the Big Ten play here. And this is Purdue, right?
Mm-hmm.
In New Jersey, buddy.
Yeah.
How do you say that city?
Piscataway.
Piscataway. Oh yeah, Piscataway. They're gonna go that away in Piscataway, huh? Well, listen. Here's a question I got for you. In the way too early to predict tournament, right? Overall, Purdue is 16-2, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ranked what now?
2.
Behind who?
UConn.
Behind
last year's national champion.
Okay. Do you think Purdue is going to be able to exercise the demon of that first round loss that should have never happened?
I gave a little soliloquy earlier saying that if what Michigan just did in football were to carry over and reset that clock in basketball, which is long overdue, right? The last Big Ten champion is Michigan State.
Okay.
Remember, D. Brown and that Illinois team got to the final.
Yeah.
But they lost to, I believe, North Carolina that year.
Right.
Michigan made it to a national championship. I believe they lost to Louisville. Or, they lost in the final.
Yeah, they did. They lost, yep.
So no one has gotten us over the hump yet. And there's that one Virginia team that actually went through Purdue in overtime.
Yeah.
The following season after losing to a 16 as a 1.
All right, bro. All right. Yeah.
But if I'm going to drink that Kool-Aid, I'm going to say this right now. You got to win here.
Okay. So, all right, I get it. I mean, we're not trying to be superstitious in a sense, but a key barometer.
You said it yourself. If you want to exercise those demons, then prove to me that you're different than the years in the past.
What does Rutgers do that give them so much hard time, bro?
You haven't seen the rack, dude? The rack is on behind me, but Nebraska's having no problem with it. And don't get me wrong.
Yeah, right.
Don't get me. Look, I know what it sounds like. All right,
having no problem.
But I just told you. Hey, who was in not Batman Forever? The great Batman that came out in 2008.
The Batman. No, Batman Begins. No. You talk about 2008, The Dark Knight.
Yes, The Dark Knight. Thank you. The actor who plays Two-Face ultimately.
Oh yeah,
that is Fred Hoiberg.
Gotcha.
Not because of literally because he looks like the guy.
Yeah,
he looks like the guy. Can't remember what the cop's name originally is. Or
Harvey Dent.
Harvey Dent. That is it. Fred Hoiberg equals Harvey Dent. Which is why it's no problem for them in there. So
you basically just said Aaron Eckhart. That's the actor, but you talking about Harvey Dent though. Harvey Dent.
All right. So, nevertheless, I know we lost at Nebraska.
Come on, man! I had to do this to you, bro. What? Say it again. Run it back.
I said it one too many times already.
Run it back.
Hey, they shot with Tomiyaga. I told him he's the people's champ because we're going to get to that here very quickly. Simply put, they had the game of their lives. They shot over 70% from 3. It was circus shots. It looked like the Globetrotters in the Generals in the second half. Yeah. And it just was a tough watch for me, but great for the nation. So, however, I said it already.
Yep.
I said Nebraska could have one of those double buys in the Big Ten tournament. Again, not a Wednesday team, not a Thursday team. They will play Friday night.
Okay.
If you're winning games like that.
Yeah.
And I think 3 of the next 4 for them were at home. They control their own destiny. If they end up in that upper kind of tier by, to round out the month of January.
Yeah.
I had said this, that, because Ben Johnson from Minnesota he's going to finish in the middle of the pack. He should be considered for Big Ten Coach of the Year, but he won't because of that placement.
Okay.
This dude, his leading scorer plays for Ohio State. Like from the previous year. Like it doesn't get much worse than that.
Yeah.
And so he's going to finish in the middle of the pack, and that tells you everything you need to know about who he is and what he's building at Minnesota. But Fred Hoiberg has had some pros, but has never had a season like this where it really all came together. So for me, it'll either be if Chris Collins in Northwestern is able, whoever takes kind of that fourth spot. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna go with it. If neither of them are capable of doing it, and it ends up being kind of like a Wisconsin, Purdue, kind of the usual suspects, we'll say. Yeah. Then I'm going to actually give it to Matt Painter at that point, because in order for that to occur, some of those things that we're looking at right here had to have all gone the right way. And truthfully, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this part of it, because I'm going to wrap up here and get it to the next topic, because that's far more fun. Because this just brings pain. That's
why I keep digging. But
is there truth? Look, you played basketball once in your life. You saw me send you the article.
Yeah.
I mentioned Nebraska and Northwestern use different basketballs. Okay. Purdue uses a Nike ball. Nebraska, did you know this? So even though you have like we'll say a Nike contract for your uniform or other merchandise, you do not have to do an agreement for the type of basketball to use that your team plays with. Now, something that Shaka Smart, who's at Marquette, had acknowledged, one of his first jobs also in that article is he was responsible for going to buy all of the basketball types that they would be playing against.
Sure.
When he was an assistant coach.
Okay.
I started asking myself, does every team do that? Or is that just like, would you do that? Or would you kind of be a little bit more arrogant or confident rather, that, it doesn't matter what ball it is, we'll go into any gym and we'll be able to handle business.
Okay. Before the NBA did that experiment with changing the design of the basketball, remember when they had that design of the basketball and it didn't have the, what do you want to call it? What is that? The spine of the ball didn't go all the way through.
Oh, okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's Izzo and March.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's one of those weatherman things.
Yeah. It's the Rutgers. Just beat the dang Rutgers. No one likes that school. Well, I happen to have my mom is an alum from Rutgers University with a degree.
Seriously?
No.
Okay, all right.
No, not at all. But my point was, what was that in 13 years ago? The NBA they changed the design of the ball. Remember they instituted that?
That's right. Oh my gosh.
It lasted for about 2 weeks or so, and like players were airballing, and nobody liked the design, the feel of it. It was so drastically different from what had been played before. It affected the game, and it took Shaq to say it.
I'm telling you, you had me like on pins and needles. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
Well, look,
we didn't know this whole time.
Right. Well, I didn't go there, but the design of the basketball changed, and it significantly affected the players. They complained about it. They had serious complaints. They saw the shooting percentages were off, and they reverted back to the traditional basketball the way the players were used to. That design, I think it's the Spalding ball or the Wilson ball, whatever it is. To say it don't matter is, I think, dishonest. To say it matters significantly, I think is equally as dishonest. If we're talking about playing this game, if you think about it like this, I know for sure players who got scholarships to high school and college were using playground balls to fine-tune their game on the blacktop, right?
Yes.
So how can it matter significantly if you honed your skills on in an entirely different environment than the one that you're playing now. Actually, in a worse environment than the one that you're playing now. Because ain't no way a hard top court is a better environment than a wood floor with the bat, you know what I'm saying, with the glass rim and the basketball. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Functionally, the environment and the aesthetics. You're playing in a better environment once you've already proven yourself in worse environments. The idea that these balls are so drastically different that it affects your game differently, I'm not certain that it should have a significant effect. So much so as if you know where you're playing at, maybe you should be practicing with those balls, maybe the game before. But it shouldn't, it shouldn't, I don't think it should significantly sway your opinion on how a team totally performs. Like, oh man, we using the basketball they always use. Unless they're doing something funny, like on the level of an NFL deflate gate type effect to the ball. And that's not what we're talking about here, right? We talk about the aesthetics, the construction, you know what I mean? That's what we're talking about?
Exactly, right? So in that article, it shows that, again, I brought up Michigan talking about John Beilein having a national championship appearance, and he used a different ball at home. Prior to Greg Gard coaching Wisconsin, his predecessor had a different ball, and they went, of course, and did a number of, like his record in Madison was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so, to your point, it begs the question, like you said, a hard top, no tread on the tire type of ball, and everybody's just, lobbing it up there. But then you give it to these professionals, and interestingly enough, you look at a player like Shaq, of all people, to complain about it, right? The guy who couldn't hit a free throw, and he couldn't handle it. I mean, if that's not one of the most unbiased opinions out there, then I don't know what is. So it really, what stuck out too is that a program like Kansas, Bill Self, coming from Illinois, right? He replaced Purdue coach up to that point with Bruce Weber, who took that Illini team to the final, to the national championship, at least again appearance. Many don't know he was a Purdue assistant coach, but I always kind of wrinkle that in there. Nevertheless, Bill Self, prior to leaving Illinois and going to Kansas, he actually uses the same ball that the tournament does. And I feel like, if you look at Kansas, they haven't won every single tournament, of course. But at the same time, when I watched them play and knock off Steph Curry in Detroit, on their way to the national title in 2008, they were very comfortable. And it makes you really it's one of those things that makes you say, what are they on to? And comfort for me, especially because we're in an era with, Connor Stalions type of cheating, where there was apparently a SEC coach who was supposedly looking at film of the other teams for basketball. This was years ago now.
Okay.
So if you don't want to show all the cards, but you need your players to get used to shooting.
Yeah.
And, again, these arenas, they talk about depth perception. If you remember, even in the 80s, I think one of those Houston teams struggled because of the depth perception, because they acknowledged that when they were in, I want to say, New Orleans at the Superdome.
Okay.
And they just said, we couldn't make a shot because we had not adjusted to those types of rims. So if you're having depth perception already, issues.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, the ball feels really uncomfortable because it's completely different than what you've taken maybe tens of thousands of shots. You don't think that would allow that is not a key piece to some of these teams getting knocked off in this tournament?
What I'm saying is, how significant could it be if the ball you playing with now ain't the ball that got you your scholarship? It's not the ball that puts you on the team.
Fair enough. See,
and you spend 4 years in college, but you've been playing the game since you've been 5. So that's what I'm saying. Like I think it's definitely worth a consideration. But or if I feel like if I feel like it's that severe, then we should be switching practice and game balls the entire season. Then every staff needs to do the Shaka Smart method and go by ball, and then we Big Ten. Here's the Big Ten ball. Maybe the conferences need to decide on a ball type. Big Ten games at home, you need to play with this ball type, and SEC games. And if it's that significant, then you need to have that ball in your hands well before game time, at least the day or two. But
it goes back to the original question. Which your coach? You have a deal with Nike.
Yeah.
Which approach of those three are you taking? Are you sticking with the Nike ball? Are you taking the Shaka Smart approach? Or are you saying, no, we need to have the Russell ball? That's what's used in the NCAA tournament.
Nah, see, I'm a bit of an urchin. So in terms of my learning style or whatnot. So I'm going to give me every possible tool and let me decide. So I'm going to go grab whatever I need to grab. So I'm going to every single ball. You know what I mean? You should see the way when I go to work, you know what I'm saying? The tools that I have, the just in case. That drawer of you never know. You might use this once every 6 or 7 months or once every 2 years. But on that second year when you need it and you were like, oh, you know what? I have it. Yeah, I would use that approach. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
But I don't know. The key is, though, I am interested to understand why there is so much allowance for such variance.
Well, you said it yourself. You brought up the NBA, and that was a wonderful kind of just a perfect example of they went uniform with it, right? So if you remember the ABA ball, right?
Right.
And the closest we get to that now is limited to what maybe that, what is that? What do they call that? The 4-point ball during the 3-point contest?
Yes.
Or the bonus, something along those lines?
Yes.
So if that's the case there, look, we've heard all of those conspiracy theories out there of a magnet and a ball, and that's the only sport you can't take it home. Okay, is that the why, or is it something? What are we missing here?
For sure.
So ultimately, I'm gonna lean with you that the ball is not the reason, and but I like where we're gonna leave off here from. With these groups in mind, I'm just going to finish this up with Purdue. My top 4 going into the tournament will be Purdue, Wisconsin. I'm going to sneak Nebraska in there, and I just don't know if MSU just goes. I don't know if they can make that up. And I'm going to say Illinois hangs on. Those are my 4.
Okay.
You got any 4 you want to throw in there before we move on?
Nah. I mean, ultimately, we dovetail. I don't see anything different from what you got.
Awesome. All right, so moving right along, what everybody's been waiting for. I thought I heard a belt. I see a belt.
Oh yes.
It is that time, ladies and gentlemen. A Shop Report premiere of sorts in my Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
No, that would be Paul Bearer.
Yes. Yes.
We're going right into it. There's a lot happening in WWE as we speak.
Yeah.
And we could chop this up however you see fit, whatever's burning on your mind. There's a ton of things happening. Obviously, Seth Rollins on Monday, going against Jinder Mahal.
Yes.
And look, are you worried about his health as we turn this corner into some of the premier quote unquote pay-per-views of
well, yeah, see, so this is WrestleMania season, right? WrestleMania season kicks off with the Royal Rumble. Okay. And And what happens here, because we know so much more, we feel like we know so much more about behind the scenes. We know how big this is because we need to figure out what is the narrative that's going to drive us into WrestleMania, because WrestleMania season starts at the Royal Rumble. Seth Rollins is legitimately hurt going into the biggest season of the calendar year for the WWE or for the wrestling universe, because WWE is still the standard bearer. It throws a lot of questions, or it throws a lot of plans off their track because of where he's positioned to be. Because here's what I'm saying. How long does this injury last? Right? Does it last through WrestleMania, or does it last up until the month of WrestleMania? So if it lasts, it would be easier if it was an injury that took him out until past SummerSlam. Right. But if it's not, you're going to bring him back. What would you do for for the narratives you want to tell? What matchup are you going to put him in? Is he going to be healthy enough to hold? Is he going to be healthy enough to have a memorable match at WrestleMania? Now, I believe they're still sticking to the two night format. WrestleMania night one, night
correct.
Two.
Yes. I think that was a great success, and that was it's worthy. I mean, this is it is very much not a rival. It just stands as an equal, in my opinion, to the Super Bowl itself, and it has that week. For those that have attended, if you haven't, please do. WrestleMania week and all of the things that they do leading up to the event itself is just incredible. I had friends last year at SoFi Stadium, so I was able to kind of see from their perspective, how it was done. Just so beautifully done. They don't skip any detail. But what concerns me is if you're on the creative side and Seth Rollins retains the title on Monday night.
Yeah.
And now has a legit knee injury.
Yes.
We both, I'm going to speak for you. Did you see him competing against anyone other than CM Punk at WrestleMania?
Cody.
Really?
Yeah, Cody Rhodes. Well, no. Actually, no. I'm sorry. CM Punk. That's what I'm saying. That's why so much has happened. No, he definitely has the match. He definitely has a match that would be. He has the Ricky Steamboat, Randy Savage WrestleMania 3 type match against CM Punk at WrestleMania.
Whoa! Hang on. What? Yeah. Yes. Whoa.
Yes.
Run that by me again. That just
understand.
I heard you?
No. If you get CM Punk versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, first of all, they won't headline night night 2, but they definitely can be a main event of night 1. So it helps to give CM Punk the main event that he wanted and that he largely deserved. Oh, she looks upset. What happened?
So 1-point game, 69-68, 23. 0.6 ticks left.
Okay. Who's up?
Nebraska is hanging on, but it is the Rutgers ball.
Oh boy.
Possession arrow with Nebraska.
The Nibs. The Huskers.
No. The Zebras are gonna do their best.
Listen, I'm saying for CM Punk to return and to be healthy and to be in a position where he can sort of where I think CM Punk actually respects the position that he's in now, or the position that WWE has placed him, to be able to do that against a guy that you really have some legitimate sort of heat with in Seth Rollins. That match is going to. That is a show.
Hang on. That's not night 2 worthy to you.
No, right. It's a no. Because what I'm saying, it's a night 1 main event. It's the only other slot that you can get. Because what match would be bigger except for?
That's what I'm going to ask you. Could if we see Roman Reigns versus The Rock,
which I hate, I hope the hell we don't see that.
Because at that point, to me, Cody Rhodes is we're dangling him. At that point, where is he go? Where is he going? Yeah. But if those are the 2 decisions you have.
Yeah.
Who's night 1? Who's night 2? Does anything change for you?
What are the 2 decisions?
Your night 1 and night 2 main events.
Yep.
Are CM Punk versus Seth Rollins.
Yes.
Or The Rock versus his nephew, right? Cousin.
His cousin, yeah.
Yep.
The world title, the WWE, the Universal title ends the show, no matter what. There's no circumstance that you don't end your show with the Universal title, with the biggest prize of them all.
Can you make that a triple threat match then? Does it need something?
I hate triple threat matches. I just hate triple threat matches. I've always hated triple threat matches. Well, I hate triple threat matches for titles.
Okay.
I hated triple threat. Remember, rest his soul, Bray Wyatt lost his title in a triple threat match.
Yes,
he wasn't even the guy that got pinned. Like, I don't like triple threat matches for titles, especially for major titles. I don't even like them for the Intercontinental US title. I don't like I like the idea of a triple threat match for contendership, because I feel like it's that sort of, I feel like there's that extra bit of energy. It's like, okay, you got to be on your toes, and it's a contender. But to say, hey, one guy walks in this with the belt, or a triple threat match, or a fatal 4-way, I do not like those matches when you talk about exchanging the title. That being said, if it's number 1 contender, belt, I feel like it's a bit of, there's something different. There's no disqualifying factor. There's no what if factor. And I don't think I don't like the idea of storytelling. Like, I lost my belt, but I didn't lose it. And I don't like that. I just feel like I just feel it's cheap to me. You don't put that in, you don't make that a world title match. If you do, because, all right, I'll put it this way. A triple threat match, all right, a world title match means there is a guy who is the guy, and there is another guy who should be. No matter how we think about it, even in sports, right? We can always argue, yeah, it's a favorite, it's a champ, and it's a favorite, and it's always two. There's usually only the guy and the person that should be. If you
hang on a second, I know this is attitude, but you got to remember there was the Ultimate Warrior, there was Hulk Hogan, and the Macho Man at one point.
At the time of, listen, the push that they gave,
you had
Warrior,
Triple H, you had Stone Cold, and The Rock.
No,
let's not act like there wasn't a third wheel.
No, listen, I'm telling you, and you gave the example. You just did it. Really, if you think about it, think of it this way. You just gave the Attitude Era example. Whoever pushed Triple H in that conversation, or who ran the Attitude Era? No one. 0 people. 0 ones. Okay.
Whoa.
Listen, if you ask about who's the defining wrestler of the Attitude Era, you will never hear Paul Levesque.
Oh.
You will hear The Rock and you'll hear Stone Cold. 1 and 1A. Don't
put him back to that French accent. Do you remember that? Do you remember those days?
Helmsley. No, and that's the thing, and it sounds like a disrespect, because actually, like it or not, the guy is actually giving so much to the sport, so much to the culture, behind the scenes or whatever, by hook or by crook, that I hate to put him in that sphere to invalidate it, but really, when you talk about the era, it's The Rock or it's Stone Cold. No one says like and this sounds disrespectful. He's the best. He's the absolute best of the rest.
No, you can't do that.
Triple
man.
H, he's the absolute.
Too many titles to be.
Bro, listen. All right, let me ask you a question. How many times? And if you go ahead and if they haven't doctored the photos or doctored the audio, how many times has Triple H came out on top? Where he was supposed to be he was supposed to be the face, but he got booed. How many times has Triple H main evented a WrestleMania, and while he's the face, he got booed? Like for example, WrestleMania 18, you had Triple H versus Chris Jericho for the WWE title after Icon versus Icon. First of all, it was bad booking.
Yeah, no.
And the fact that Triple H won when Chris Jericho had proven himself to be able to hold his own. How many times? This is what I'm saying. So getting all the way back to my point, you can't have whenever there is a triple threat match, there's 3 people vying to say I'm next up. And anybody in that debate. So here's the ideal scenario. Here's what I'm saying.
All right, I'm standing up.
That's okay. Here's what I'm saying. You tell me on a pay-per-view in the Attitude Era, there's a triple threat match.
Okay.
To determine the number 1 contender to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania. The Rock.
Okay.
Triple H and Stone Cold. Can you understand the legitimacy of saying that? These are the 3 guys vying that all in their respective arenas or to their respective fan bases and whatnot could make a claim at being the number 1 contender.
So you're saying who should have?
What I'm saying is,
we have a clip here, matter of fact, that we show quite frequently that you see. Look at.
Oh, yeah! Oh, man! Undertaker's got Randy Orton! The Undertaker's alive and well! Be careful who you try to play games with! Oh, my God! Randy Orton! Oh, the casket!
Barbershop.
But who was Barbershop Jay in that clip? You heard
it was Randy Orton.
That's right. So who are you suggesting that if Triple H had been that person in that case, going against The Undertaker, it would have been deemed a bad thing?
What I'm saying is,
or he would have been a lesser than.
What I'm saying is, I'm saying that when you talk about a champion, there is a guy who did everything he can to keep this belt or to get this belt. And there's usually, in the end, there's always you or there's always a champ versus a single child, a dude that accomplished everything else to get that deserves the right to have an unadulterated shot at the guy.
All right.
And so for that reason, I don't like triple threat. I don't like anything other than the champion versus the challenger for the belt. Okay, when you talking about to say, "Hey, I'm the best there is in the business," I don't like anybody other than the champion versus the guy who then went through all the muck, then survived everything. I don't like that. If you're talking about anything else to say, "Hey, I want a spot at being the guy. I want to face all that adversity," then you can have 3. You can have a triple. You can have a triple threat, a fatal 4-way, or Royal Rumble, even, right? But to be the one guy, and what I'm saying is, going back to the era, Triple H accomplished quite a bit, right?
Of course,
quite a bit in the era. Yeah, but how many of the matches?
Hang on a second. You're almost suggesting that. I'm trying to process this. I'm not disagreeing with you about a triple threat match.
Mm-hmm.
but I'm almost asking myself if that current card, the way it would be constructed, as it appears to be, right? Rock, Reigns. Which
don't make it.
And I know. Hang on a second. I know a lot of people are okay. So you're suggesting not a title match.
Don't make it for the title. See, now here's the thing. Here's the beautiful part about it, right?
Okay.
Here's how you can have The Rock and Roman Reigns, and somehow I don't know how you would make that so that way it wouldn't be for the title, but that match on its own is fantastic. That match on its own would be oh man, that'll be, it won't be Icon versus Icon, it won't be The Rock versus Hogan, but it would certainly have a great. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that was that same WrestleMania you were referring to,
yeah,
right?
WrestleMania X8. Yeah. So it won't have The Rock versus Hogan because neither of those guys, The Rock or Roman Reigns, they're not as strong as The Rock and Hogan were at that time. The Rock isn't as much the icon that Hogan was, and Roman Reigns.
Whoa!
No, listen to me. Finish it, please. The Rock isn't. He's not as much the icon that Hogan was when that match happened, and Roman Reigns isn't as much the established star that The Rock was when it happened. Here's what I mean by that. Hulk Hogan at the time of what were you talking about? 2002.
Yes, that would correct.
By then, he'd been the face of wrestling. He'd been the face of wrestling, or one of the faces of wrestling, for 3 decades.
Okay, that's fair.
And when I say the
now,
face,
wait a minute.
And The Rock spent. Listen, he even quoted for himself. For all of The Rock's immense star power and capability and defining it and getting the show and bringing catchphrases to pop culture, he wrestled for 5 years. From 1996 to 2003. I'm sorry, he wrestled for 8 years. He did it in 8 years. He did a lot in 8 years, but he did it for 8 years.
How long has Roman Reigns been here? And that's why I'm gonna do this to you right now for the same exact
12 to 14.
Yeah, when he first came with Rollins and Dean Ambrose.
No, even before that, yeah. I forgot what he was before they repackaged them as the Shield.
Yep.
Yeah. So 2015. Okay, so he's been around for some time. He's got some time in it. But what I'm saying is, The Rock. All right, Hulk Hogan in 2002. Hulk Hogan was, first of all, he was over in Japan. He was well over in Japan. He was a different style.
Yeah.
Ran wild, right? So he had Hulkamania. Okay, he had the defining moment to bring wrestling to the mainstream in a way that not even Ric Flair could. Even though Ric Flair
was also in Japan for a while too. Remember?
It was in Japan for a while, and then he had wrestling, right? Where you make an argument that this thing is real. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He brought a sense of realism to it that Hogan didn't. Hogan brought the sense of majesty. Like Hogan made wrestling. He brought wrestling to the mainstream, and he led that for 2 decades plus. Hulk Hogan was around the biggest, next to the Montreal Screwjob. Hulk Hogan was a part of the biggest event in wrestling ever up until that time.
We're talking about Andre the Giant?
No, with NWO. Set aside Andre the Giant, right? Set aside. That was part of Hulkamania's wave. I didn't even include that. Hulk Hogan defined
the NWO,
huh?
Just the NWO.
Yes, becoming that NWO run. What he did for wrestling. What he did, and
that's subjective, dude. Look, I loved it. I think we're probably not too far off age wise. We're right in that.
We're right in the thick of it, bro. Yes. We grew up to that, bro. Hulk Hogan was a part of Hulkamania that brought wrestling to the mainstream, brought wrestling to the masses. Remember, he had wrestling movies. Okay, no holds barred. All right.
Three Ninjas too.
They
forgot him in that building, but he somehow ran out. Go watch that part again.
Right. Remember, and then he ended up with the series Thunder in Paradise, or whatever else. But he took wrestling and he made it something that he made it more than a novelty. He helped to bring it to the mainstream in a way that it hadn't been before. And then
with Mr. T,
right. And then at the height of that, he almost broke kayfabe by making what the NWO, that whole idea of the NWO, legitimizing the threat that the NWO was by being the biggest guy in the company to turn heel. He turned heel so bad. Listen, he turned heel so bad, he turned back face. How do you think of it this way? You will remember how many main events, how many Monday Nitros did the NWO main event? The dude was part of the NWO and he had Jimi Hendrix as his theme song. So he was so over as a heel, he had people cheering for him, bro. Like Hogan was over in a way that The Rock hadn't been.
I disagree. And this one, I'm going to have to disagree because of the fact right away, remember, that NWO has two different kind of there's two different stances and lenses that people view the NWO in.
All right. Which
one is pretty much nailed by what you just said. Then there's this other group that blames it on the demise of WCW and blames Eric Bischoff a lot because it felt like at a point in time, if you go back to that first Nitro, that first, second WCW game where you had different factions. You had so many factions that were out there.
Oh no, you talking about so wait a minute. You had WCW Nitro, and then you had WCW NWO Thunder,
right?
And then you had WCW Backstage Assault. We ain't talking about that one. No, you talking about Thunder.
I'm going N64.
The Backstage Assault. No. WCW NWO World Tour.
Revenge. NWO Revenge.
Yes, that was a great game, bro. That was a great game.
Which was very much, wait a minute, which one was it out of World Tour Revenge that it started with the intro is a truck driver, semi-truck driver, and Sting standing in the middle of the highway.
I think that was Revenge. WCW NWO Revenge.
You had Raven in his flock.
Yep. Yeah, you had factions. You had the LWO.
You had real. Look, there was a roster. It felt like there was a league of people in the back, in behind that curtain every night. Yeah, it was. You're absolutely right. What a time to be alive. First of all, if you missed out, you channel surfed, right?
Yes.
To the fullest. There was no such thing as a commercial. There was no such thing as a DVR at that point in time.
I had a VCR. I had a Maxell. You put the Maxell on super long play. You can record it for 8 hours, the lowest quality. And I'm flipping back and forth between. Hold on. At this time, we talking about in the 90s. So USA was channel 11. And TBS was channel 4. Yep. Yeah, TBS was channel 44. Between 11 and 44, I'm flipping back and I'm recording excerpts. Man, listen, that gave us all ADHD, bro. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm gonna tell you this here on every Monday and then Thursday when Nitro did it, and then that gave us all ADHD. I believe that. It's not a scientific fact, but I think it is a theory. My point is. Go ahead.
But where I'm going with this is, you had, as you pointed out, if we're gonna take what you're saying here, we're gonna run with the path that you've laid out.
Yeah.
For The Rock to be able to accomplish this, in terms of just him, that trio that I mentioned, that third wheel of Triple H.
Oh, The Rock, Stone Cold, and Triple H. Yeah, go ahead.
At that tier that you're referring to, it can only be done if he truly did what you're suggesting during that time.
Okay.
And if he is not built up, and that's why you had to switch back and forth. If it was truly Triple H, don't get me wrong, I love Degeneration X. Between them, the Four Horsemen, great, that was cool, wonderful. There were certain factions that stuck out to me, but DX set itself apart. But again, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, wonderful, but The Rock stood alone. He wasn't with Mark Henry and those guys anymore,
bro. But I get all that. I understand. Well, I understand that, and the idea of it is The Rock was so over that a show was named after his catchphrase, like the House of Rock built. I understand that. So, like his contribution to the culture and his popularity to be able to figure that out. You know what I'm saying? To be able to,
Hold on. You're crediting Hogan with the movies, or are you crediting The Rock with movies? Because John Cena doesn't exist. If in my opinion, John Cena does not.
Hogan was first, bro.
Oh,
Hogan was first.
But who did it best? It's not who does it first. It's who does it best. And
you sure about that? Depending on what we're talking here, we got to be careful what kind of slope we riding because
look, it is hard.
I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. Listen, I remember No Holds Barred. What was The Rock's first movie? And he's a bona fide. And listen, and when I say that, let me qualify what I'm saying here. I'm qualifying what I'm saying by the movies that The Rock did while still being very much a wrestler. So his post WWE stint when he became a bona fide movie star, that's great. And I feel like that stands on its own. And he got to those spots because he was such a recognizable and popular face. Okay. But as a wrestler, legitimizing that enterprise for fans and for the public to see. Hogan did No Holds Barred. Then he did Mr. Nanny. Then he did, and these weren't the greatest movies by no stretch of the imagination. However, I mean, I'm not saying that. These are not cult classics, okay? Like, you know what I'm saying? But the idea of it is, listen, he even put The Undertaker in one of them. I think Mr. Nanny, The Undertaker was in one of them. You know what I'm saying? And these are Hollywood films, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So The Rock did better what Hogan did first. Because who was doing that? What professional wrestlers had starred in movies before Hulk Hogan? Oh, I'll put it this way.
Maybe Andre the Giant. Maybe.
Yeah, okay. Right, I get it.
Yeah, right.
So I get it. Yeah. And he was great in that. He was great. They say he was great in that. How many more movies did Andre the Giant do?
Well, some of that was cut short for a variety of reasons.
Sure.
But
That's what I'm saying.
That was that era.
Who was starring in movies as a wrestler before The Rock? Hulk Hogan.
Right. Well, not alone, obviously. The Macho Man did some things.
What movie did he do?
Well, I'm just saying.
Didn't come out until 2002.
No. He was in Spider-Man. Oh yeah, 2002. Yeah, that was he. All right.
yeah.
Well, anyway, at least he was in it.
He could have been. You know what I'm saying? He could have had different roles if he had chosen that. My point is, as big as The Rock is now, I don't know that he's as big as Hogan was then. Like that, all right. So the icon versus icon match, to have it to do that again, because
they did.
What you mean?
That forgotten match.
What match?
Hogan versus The Rock 2. We'd call it No Way Out.
Yeah, you know why? That was a good match for you?
No.
You remember that match?
No.
Yeah, they should have left it alone. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Should have left it alone. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Some movies don't deserve sequels, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Disagree.
Some movies don't deserve sequels, right? But the idea, if you have an icon versus icon match, it would almost be a homage to the original.
So we're doing that here.
But it's not. But see, to me, that's what I'm saying.
How are you going to say that The Rock did all these great movies and is not, but doesn't fit that that caliber.
I don't think I don't think The Rock is as big now as Hogan was then. Hogan, listen, because here's why. Here's what I'm saying. Though there was much more authenticity to the quote unquote sport of professional wrestling displayed when you had Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes and Bret Hart doing it. The standard for when you say a name, everyone knew who Hulk Hogan was, because he marketed himself he positioned himself and marketed himself that way, and he was such a culturally significant figure that the era that he belonged to, like, all right, for example. Yes, no, we did, and that's okay. That's all right. Thank you. But I'm saying, if you ask a fan in the 70, 89, they'll say Hulk Hogan. Everybody know who you're talking about. You had to be a wrestling fan to know who Ric Flair was.
No, you didn't. Are you? No way,
bro. I'm telling you, you
Ric
had to
Flair
be a wrestling fan.
Is a pop icon.
Listen. Look, he was
with the Migos in the last 5 years.
My guy.
Where's Hogan?
Listen, in 2002. Could you have imagined Hogan doing how can I? In 2002, when that match happened, Hulk Hogan, even though Ric Flair was second, and in some cases, I think first, I'm trying to be objective here, because like I said, Ric Flair brought a sense of authenticity to the sport of professional wrestling, and even Hogan didn't do it. Ric Flair, you watch wrestling, you thought it was real. And them stories he told was real. And a real quote came from Ric Flair is, to be a man, you got to beat the man. I know we talk about professional wrestling, it's supposed to be scripted and all that, but that is as real a quote. That quote transcends all sports. Okay. Ric Flair, even though Ric Flair brought that level of authenticity, Hulk Hogan was still the singular biggest figure to make that sport recognizable, right? Who was bigger? So what I'm saying is, I don't know.
But this is where I'm going with it.
Because go ahead.
I'm merely suggesting that to you, all of your points, if to be held as true.
Yep.
This is why that match holds that caliber.
What match?
This Reigns Rock match.
If the Reigns and Rock, if Reigns and Rock does it, do it again. All right, I tell you what.
Because of you pointed out, The Rock had wrestled for about 8 years.
Yeah.
Reigns is at about 14 at this point.
Yeah.
Hogan, up to that point, I think you said was in the 20s at that stage. By default, The Rock has came back intermittently, so we would have to add that time as well. And so he, in theory, would be at that same number also.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. If you had that match, does The Rock win?
I can't have him do that for two reasons.
That's why I can't have a match, bro. Can you give it? This is why. Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna let you answer. I gotta let you answer. Go ahead.
No. I think we agree here wholeheartedly. My struggle with this is I don't want another Brock Lesnar on our hands.
What do you mean?
Where the title goes, I gave you a Jake Paul example in the Discord intentionally because I've proven it can happen. But
I even missed that. Hold on. I want to know you, because every time you bring up Jake Paul, things shut down, bro. Because you do this a lot.
Well, Jake Paul is a champion. It may pain you and our host to hear that, but Jake Paul is a champion currently.
You talking about Logan Paul?
I'm sorry, I said Jake. Logan. My apologies.
Okay. Oh yeah, no.
In their own right.
But Logan Paul deserves that though. Logan Paul did a shooting star press. Listen, Logan Paul did a shooting star press in a WrestleMania, and we didn't know he could do that. Okay, Logan Paul. Listen, Logan Paul.
Why are you silent then when our host goes off the deep end
about Jake Paul and boxing? Because Jake,
about Logan. about Logan. He
Logan
wants to hear
Paul in wrestling.
nothing about Logan
Hold on,
Paul.
cause see, I purely didn't see it, so I need to go just take a look, cause
Oh my gosh!
But Logan Paul to wrestling is far more understandable than Jake Paul is to boxing. But I will say Jake Paul is a tryhard for sure. And I don't mean that, though that is a diss. I don't mean that necessarily disrespectfully, because I think he, you know what I'm saying, I think he's putting in some work. But certainly what Logan Paul is able to do in wrestling, you think he's that guy, and he's been that guy. That being said,
hang on.
Logan, bro, he did a shooting star press. He did a shooting star press. Wait a minute, and if I'm not mistaken, didn't he do it?
His athletic ability.
Didn't he do it on the outside to the announce table?
Yes, he did.
At a WrestleMania?
Yes, he did.
Who does that, bro?
No one, and that's why I'm trying to give that man his flowers. And I know they call it, on South Park, it's cred.
Yeah.
But simply put, that's why the slander that goes for him, it's mind-boggling to me, because he's displayed a level of talent that when you see past stars that have fit kind of that icon-esque, that's occasionally don't quite deserve it, right? I'm going to point to John Cena in a year or so ago at Mania. And, yes, he was, doing, tipping the cap, knowing that he just was a shell of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he, even in his prime, his moves were considered, were highly scrutinized, to say the least.
Yeah.
So, really questioning his athleticism. None of that goes with Logan Paul. And he's just been, again, cast that shadow because of, for reasons why I'm not exactly sure. But so for him to be able to prove to all of us, because they allowed it, he's maintained this title despite kind of an absence.
Yep.
You could say The Rock could win, but we know he's a movie star. Right. He is John Cena. He's the original John Cena of movies first, wrestling second. I learned I could make more over here, and I went off and did exactly that. Then I come back every time that they banish me for 5 or 10 minutes. That's
what I'm saying. At WrestleMania, see, this is the problem that I have. The problem that I have is when The Rock meets Roman Reigns, it's going to be an epic match, and all that, everything that I talked about the icon versus icon match, it'll actually be a better match because The Rock and Roman Reigns are gifted in the ring, and they're not as beat up as Hogan was in that time. The persona and the persona and the mic skills that Hogan had, and like I said, his persona and his mic skills gave that match everything it needed to be an iconic match. And if Hogan had Savage's wrestling ability, and Savage is great, but technically he wasn't one of the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Savage was great, but you know what I mean? If he had 1.5 times of his wrestling ability, then the match would be like a top 10 all-time match. Roman Reigns is a much better wrestler than Hogan, and The Rock is a much better wrestler than The Rock then. Like, I think The Rock now could beat The Rock then, because I just feel like he knows what to bring, and he's in better shape. All that being said, it'll make for a better match, but you tell stories in wrestling, right? Wrestling, like I said, to me, is live action comic books. It's like seeing X-Men as a stage play.
No. It is a daytime drama on roids.
Interesting choice of words, but yeah. Yeah. So that being said, it's story driven. How do you build up this?
What if I told you right now the clash that we're referring to?
Yeah.
This affliction and confliction that we have is being echoed globally. Dustin Rhodes, Gold Dust, has chimed in on this very same subject.
Yeah.
And now, additionally, I can't believe I'm saying this. There's an article that has been printed with this as the headline. And I know it's going to just make sure you're holding onto your seat.
Okay, go ahead.
A triple threat is the best possible main event for WrestleMania 40.
Okay, who's in the triple threat?
Are you sure you want to know?
Go ahead. Give me this.
Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Well, it's been fun, y'all. We got to run. Make sure you check this out on
I couldn't believe it when I said that.
No.
There was, I can't, dude, when I just
But wait, hold on. You know what? Hold on.
If you'd like, I can pull it up here. I can't believe it.
Wait. Hold on. I got to think about this. Wait a minute. It is.
No, not you too.
No, I'm going to tell you why it is. Because Roman Reigns has got to retain his title. If he's not going to clean pin The Rock.
Oh, my gosh.
And you're telling the story. And see, because, listen, it got to be some mud in it, man. And this is why I don't like triple threat matches. It make it muddy, and it make it muddy in a way that it shouldn't be. Because what I'm saying is the story that, all right, let me try to do it this way. The story that they're telling with Roman Reigns being the head of the table and being pretty much the definition of a warrior, right? Surviving by hook or by crook, surviving the gauntlet of A-list top tier contenders for years, right? The only thing left for the story to do is end. And what I'm saying is, for me, I don't want to see it end because I'm tired of it. I want to see it end because that's the only thing left for it to do. I want to see how this chapter comes to an end. Like, I don't know. Do you follow what I'm saying? I'm not bored with it. Like, if he's going to keep facing guys, he got to keep winning. Okay.
Wait. Who?
Roman Reigns. Because here's what I'm saying. Wait a minute.
You belittled him earlier on him not being a icon yet. But
you're gonna take Roman Reigns right now because The Rock decided that the writer's strike was enough for him to throw himself back in the ring. You're gonna say, all right, WrestleMania 40, because the writer's strike happened and The Rock had some time on his hands. You're gonna put The Rock and Roman Reigns together in 3 months. When you took 2 years to build 2 John Cena or Rock matches, you took 2 years to do that. But you're going to do Roman Reigns and The Rock in 4 months, and The Rock is going to win and stay around? No.
I don't think he's going to win.
Put it this way. How did they say it?
Oh, no.
John Cena said it. John Cena said it this way. He said, listen, there were plans for SummerSlam, and the plan for SummerSlam originally didn't go the way, were not as they were written. John Cena, I believe John Cena, either he reasoned for himself or he subscribed to the theory, was like, listen, SummerSlam, the Brock versus John Cena, it's got to be a smash. It's got to be what they call it, not a squash. It's got to be a squash. He was like, listen, you beat the streak, right? In 2014, Brock beat the streak. He's the first guy to beat The Undertaker in WrestleMania. Right. How do you beat the streak in WrestleMania and then survive a match versus John Cena in SummerSlam? If you survive John Cena in SummerSlam, then what was the purpose of you beating the streak? You have to prove, you have to be relentless. You have to make it, it can't be a question. You follow what I'm saying? By that same logic, and when he said that, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
So by that same logic, how does The Rock come in on January, face Roman Reigns, and do anything other than lose?
Remind me, who ended Roman Reigns' streak?
What streak?
Without being pinned.
I forgot. I can't remember. Was it Cody Rhodes?
I
don't know.
I can't remember.
I don't know. But I'm saying what we're getting at is Brock
Jey Uso
ended his pin streak. He pinned him, right? But it wasn't for a title, right?
That's right. First time in 1,294 days.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Where's the belt?
Well, this is why I'm asking, because when you're talking about this, you are absolutely right. You are setting this up, and it can't just go to anybody.
It can't.
And this is where it gets very interesting because they are all related.
Yeah.
And then there's this outlier, and this is why Dustin Rhodes chimed in. Of course, I went to school with now Brandy Rhodes, but
you went to school with her?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of course they're in Georgia, but she's from Canton, but Michigan Canton.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So nevertheless, matter of fact, her brother probably may or may not see this. He was over there not that long ago. But that's what I mean about this outlier, right? Like someone who's deserving. This is where it ties into both your night one and your night two.
Okay.
And this is why I'm personally reaching out to you and so torn on this.
Yeah.
Because you have it is my cup has runneth over with what you could possibly do, which could be arguably, if done correctly, one of the most incredible things we would ever have been able to see, because you're able to tie all of those in. Some of it has to do whether or not Seth Rollins is capable or eligible.
Mm-hmm.
The other ties into that bloodline, if we want to call it that.
What I'm saying is, man, whomever pins Roman Reigns and then takes the strap with them has got to be a figure that is going to be presumably capable of doing what Roman Reigns did. He got to be a guy that you got to say, you know what? I don't know who can beat him. See, Cody has that ability now because Cody he done beat Brock twice. 2 out of 3 times. He done beat Brock. And that's crazy to me to think about at one point in time seeing, Stardust, right? You know what I'm saying? But he's alive, right? Even though I think his theme song was great. I think that Stardust theme song slapped.
Oh no! When did you leave Stardust where it was?
What I'm saying, to go from Stardust to Cody and to be able to beat Brock 2 out of 3 times. All right, cool. Here's a guy that you could say, man, there's legs here.
Oh yeah.
If he dethrones Roman. If you talk about Seth, if Seth was to come back, him dethroning Roman, right? Even if you say, man, this is going to be another heck of a year for somebody, and somehow or another you find a way for CM Punk to do it. Any of those 3 guys, you can at least get a remarkable, at least year of storytelling out of having them having them close this chapter of Roman Reigns' career. As great as The Rock is to the culture and to the sport, how do you have The Rock win knowing Fast and the Furious about to start filming in July?
This is why when I'm suggesting Cody Rhodes walks away unifying titles.
But you got The Rock in there. So he doing it in a triple threat?
I don't necessarily want it to be that way, but I can't. To your point, the guy that beat the streak, right? This is where you're tying it all together, and this is where it will cement Cody Rhodes in history.
Yes.
It will, if there was any doubt about him being a Hall of Famer, it will put it to rest.
Yes.
A healthy Seth Rollins, I don't care if you do it in the beginning or the end versus Punk, because their feud will withstand the test of time going into 25 potentially.
Yeah.
It will linger, certainly.
Sure.
But if you can have on night one, which will light up every Twitter board out there, that Cody Rhodes is now a champion doing what his dad could not. It simply closes it. How would I want to?
Wait a minute. Cody Rhodes wins the WWE title or the Universal title?
So he would win the WWE title from Rollins. Yeah.
Okay.
So he would essentially, we'd be able to kind of close that chapter.
Okay.
Or finish his story.
Okay.
Right? So night one ends.
Yeah.
He's won that.
Yeah.
Night two, your match is going to begin. Out comes Jey Uso. Naturally on the Rock side.
All right.
The person who has pinned Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
Out comes Cody Rhodes, who's holding a title now, and has also historically beaten the person who beat the streak, who now and has now closed a monumental chapter.
Right.
You can potentially cement him by beating that trio, not only as the unified champion, but now he's beaten multiple streaks that just put him in the stratosphere.
So then they reunify the belt.
It would reunify the belt. Correct.
How do we reunify? Triple threat match. All right, here's the problem with that.
But the only person who has pinned Roman is Jey Uso.
Here's the problem with that. The problem with that is, why even bring The Rock back in the first place?
Because they're too deep. I felt like that should have been a SummerSlam thing or a.
But he's here now. That's what I'm saying. He's here now. So he's here now. How do you put him in a position where he's in a match and loses? And then if you have The Rock, Rock in a match, you don't need Cody Rhodes or anybody else other than The Rock's opponent, which would be Roman Reigns. Okay. So if The Rock's opponent is Roman Reigns, then all right, cool. How do you have The Rock dethrone Roman Reigns to be the head of the table? Is he about to be the head of the table for another year? That's what I'm saying.
No, and this is why I think it won't, because of Mania from a year ago, right? With WrestleMania 39, where Cody failed. So now this is what I mean. Cody gets to not only win a belt and potentially allow Rollins to, have a surgery if necessary.
Yeah.
And then, which is, again, it ratings, conversational. It just it does what it needed to do.
Yeah.
But again, now looking at that undisputed Universal Championship,
okay,
Rhodes would have this second kind of storyline where he would be able to overcome the head of the table and end his reign of terror.
But why is The Rock there? That's the problem, man. Like, why is The Rock there? Then why do The Rock need to be there at all? No, because everything you say makes sense. Listen, if it's Uso and if it's Uso and Reigns, or Uso and Rollins, or Uso and Punk and Reigns, and all of that makes sense. You have The Rock here now. What do you do with him? He don't need The Rock. And for everything I said, The Rock don't need nobody's help to get to make a main event. He don't need nobody's help. Even for people who tired of him, who think he old and they feel some type of.
So should it happen at Elimination Chamber?
Say again.
should it happen at Elimination Chamber?
You got to get. The belt can't be involved in whatever match Roman Reigns is with The Rock. It can't because in my listen, right? Because in my opinion, listen. All right, so if I had it right, The Rock comes back. If The Rock comes back, I would, if I knew that if The Rock came back, I'd have him go after Punk first.
Whoa.
Yep. I'd have him go after Punk first because I need The Rock and the Punk to have a great match, a greater match than the one that they had at Royal Rumble of 2014. One that is still worthy of people watching. Okay, because we know CM Punk has made it. CM Punk is. We know what he says in the dirt sheets, and we know what he's said in the years that he's been away from wrestling. He ain't necessarily have. He wasn't the biggest fan of The Rock, but he could do business with him, and they figured that thing out. They still got stuff to resolve. You need to have Rock and CM Punk out of the way. Maybe The Rock has a great match. Maybe he does beat CM Punk clean or whatever else, or maybe CM Punk beats him clean, and then you allow WrestleMania to happen with somebody beating Roman Reigns clean, or maybe you have Roman Reigns beat somebody clean. You don't have The Rock involved in the title at WrestleMania with Roman Reigns, because I don't see Roman Reigns losing that belt to The Rock. He can't lose the belt. He can lose the head of the table, because I know it may not mean anything or whatnot, but it actually does, because that is historical, familial implications behind it, and it's really a great idea to have. But
so wait a minute. You know history probably better than I do with this.
Okay.
And if you remember, The Rock's been on when Aaron Rodgers stopped going on Pat McAfee, The Rock was on there a few times also. Yeah. And he's already been kind of hinting at a few different things, and he used the word unprecedented. Okay. So what hasn't been done? And now this could be for better or for worse, right?
There's been a triple threat match for a WWE title. As a matter of fact, Chris Jericho won it. To unify a belt, Chris Jericho won that. So that has been done. Okay, so that nixes that. So is what I'm brewing, which is this fatal four-way of Jey Uso, The Rock, Cody Rhodes, who wins night one and potentially unifies the belt. Okay. Could you imagine if he walks away from I don't care if he holds it for 5 minutes and a Money in a Bank winner, comes and steals it, right at the end, and just at that point, within 2 weeks, it's back in Reigns' hands, taking it from Great Value Reigns, my buddy from Judgment Day. I call him Great Value Reigns. Great Value Reigns. You talking about my man from Judgment Day? Yeah. Oh man. Oh God. We're not doing him any justice. You talking about the first? You talking about the first ever Universal Champion? No. Hang on. Let's. Oh, that's gonna. I can't believe I'm spazzing on his name right now. Judgment Day. Not Damian Priest. Damian Priest. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So just a hypothetical there, but I'm looking at it where The Rock could have. Was The Rock at the Royal Rumble? Yeah. No. This year's Royal Rumble? Mm-hmm. Hold on, wait a minute. My problem is this closure element. Like you've dragged Cody along so far in this that we don't have. Dare we say, like the girlfriend? Don't girlfriend us who just you should have seen this coming, and don't do that to me. Don't close it. I'm gonna have no closure on this, and you're not when we could be left on red. You're gonna be left on red, man. I just I don't know how do you. This is a conundrum, bro.
I'm telling you,
This
is why we're here.
It's
This
a conundrum.
is why we're doing
So
this.
how do we figure this out, man?
You are creative control. You are Paul Heyman right now, able to make this work.
And what I'm saying is, it's not just a WrestleMania. It's the 40th WrestleMania.
That's right. And
WrestleMania. This is the 40th WrestleMania.
That's right.
This is the best. This is probably one of the best narratives you've had in years. It is a like Roman Reigns' career resurrection, putting him with Paul Heyman. It resurrected Roman Reigns' career. It made him favorable to the fans. Now they're booing him because of story, not because of they're booing him because of storyline, not because of an authentic rejection of him, which is what you had the last time The Rock showed up in the ring with him.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
So how do you? But I'm saying it's The Rock. The Rock is there. He's good. All right. Here's what had to happen. All right. We got the timing, and the thing about it is that they can't exist that I can tell in the same time frame. The Rock returns. The Rock says, "I want to see at the head of the table." He beats Roman Reigns. Great. All right, cool. So he beats Roman Reigns. If Roman Reigns is not champion, The Rock can do that at any time. He can do it at WrestleMania. He can do it at the Rock show. You know what I mean? He can send Roman Reigns back to the doldrums or what have you, figuring himself out. Or he can come back, try to win, and then The Rock realizes that, hey, man, your time is done. I'm the head of the table. Here's the family telling you it's me now. You know what I'm saying? And he get Jimmy and Jay, or he get Jimmy Uso or whatever to help, and they beat The Rock, and Reigns wins by hook or by crook, but Reigns wins to prove he the head of the table, right? All right.
Correct.
You can go either way with that. How do you have that story? How do you have Roman Reigns' chapter of winning for? How do you have my point is, can you give Roman Reigns another 1,000 days as champion? Consecutive. Another 1,000 some odd days as champion. The answer to me emphatically is no. So if you know you can't give him another 1,000 days, the days he have now are the ones that's going to be it. How do you end them with The Rock?
I'm going to show you something, and you're going to have to take this into
serious
consideration.
Okay.
I don't know how you could ignore this portion. Let's see. What? Bear with me just a second. I'm going to get it set up here.
All right. I'm still with you. Got to mute for a second.
Okay.
It's just this cartoon we're looking at?
That's it. Do you see what it says there?
Those are sinister laughs, or those crying tears?
Well, what this is from Paul Heyman, okay, because The Rock had asked, would I sit at the head of the table?
Mm-hmm.
And while Roman Reigns did not direct directly reply, Paul Heyman did, and that's the image here.
Man. Paul Heyman replied with that.
That's right. 206,000 likes.
Paul Heyman put that on the. He teased that.
Yes, sir.
The Rock's going to beat Roman Reigns for that title.
No.
I don't like it, bro. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
What we gotta watch. See, this is where I'm going.
They about to ruin. And what I'm saying is, you got to understand. I don't hate The Rock at all. I don't hate it, and I don't hate it. It's the time. It's the story you built. The story you built is not for The Rock to come back and get ahead of the. Because listen, unless we saying The Rock about to be here for another year. Even if The Rock gets Brock Lesnar's part-time type schedule, which he won't, because he's not going to be there that long. He's about to run the USFL and the XFL merger. We know this is happening behind the scenes. We know they're filming another movie. We know these things are about to happen, and he's about to end a great chapter of storytelling. The longest championship run we've seen since Hogan, or up there rivaling Bruno Sammartino's runs, rivaling Hogan's runs as champion.
Let me ask you, and I know you're very much against this outcome. I am too. I am. I've never been more. I don't get it.
Why they let him come back now? That's what I'm saying, man. He can't beat Roman Reigns for that title. He can beat Roman Reigns at any other time for any other reasons. He can't beat Roman Reigns for that title. Because we already seen him do that. Matter of fact, 10 years ago, a decade ago, that's exactly what we saw. We saw Roman Reigns, we saw The Rock come back and beat CM Punk for the WWE title, to walk into WrestleMania to drop it to John Cena. We seen it. That's exactly what we saw. But in this case, what they're doing is they haven't happened at WrestleMania.
See, and this is my problem with all of this, dude. This is my problem with all this, because you've just shunned Cody Rhodes. In both. No, there's no denying it. You can't put him in anything else. This is so wrong. So Dustin Rhodes said that, I understand. You know what? I'm going to read it verbatim.
Yeah, please.
So in quotes, I understand people want to see want to see The Rock versus Roman Reigns, but it's Cody's moment.
See, and it's bad because it's coming from his brother,
who's not even with the company. I mean,
it doesn't matter. It's family. You know, family gonna stick up for family. Of
course, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? For that matter, you can find what's his name, Solo. He might say what he might say about The Rock, and like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's my cousin, whatever. You know, he gonna ride for his people for sure. But if it is Cody's,
whoa, Solo can't do that. They're both his cousins or the brother.
Solo and wait a minute, Solo is the Usos' baby brother,
right?
And that would make him first cousins with Roman Reigns, and like second or third cousins with The Rock.
Yeah, because was it Umaga? Who was their father was with
Rikishi?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rikishi for two. That is the Usos and Solos. Yes, they do.
No, that is true. We've seen that a time or two.
Oh, but what? When? You
start with the McMahons.
Was it story? Was it kayfabe? Or was
Sure.
it was
Okay.
it shoot?
Yeah.
Was it real?
Yeah, but
was it
you
a
know,
work
this
or was
is,
it shoot?
hang on a second.
Was it a work or was it shoot?
This is the interesting part about that. Look how we blended. You know, there's a gray area now.
Okay.
So when is it fact versus fiction?
Yeah, we see who they ride home together, right?
Right.
Say when the arena is closed, hey, how many cars and what direction the cars going on the park? Is that Range Rover going this way and the Bentley going up? You know what I'm saying? That's what we know. Or they meet over at dinners, right? So it's man, I that's
so
what
now
I'm
you
saying.
see it. You got Dustin sticking up for baby bro. We have Paul Heyman doing what Paul Heyman does.
Man, unless you see, that's what I'm saying. Roman Reigns got to be in a position where you think like he could lose, and the person you think he can lose to is somebody that he can't immediately just beat. Like if he lost to Cody,
Valid point.
Work or shoot.
Well, of course it was work, right?
Okay.
Remember a couple pay-per-views ago here.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And listen, and I'm sorry, you know what I mean. You've got a young man that at home, bruh.
Needed a belt or two,
bruh. If he got somebody in his ear with the presence of a Rhea Ripley, all bets are off. You know y'all beefing. You know y'all beefing.
Don't get that one started. She may come down here.
You know y'all beefing, man.
It is not like that one.
Listen, you know y'all beefing. You can know it. Listen, you already know. Look, the work got to be done. The roles got to be played. But you know what? I see he got a Rhea Ripley in his ear. I already know where he's siding landing on. I'm gonna have to do what I got to do. But you understand that. I mean, it's a Rhea Ripley. Like,
I've told her I was even going to support the merch. I'll just say that with.
Yeah. Hey, yo, we got a spare room here in Columbus, bro.
Yeah, right. I mean,
just don't worry about it. We got a spare room in the lab.
Yeah, I'd leave the key under the door.
Yeah, for sure,
under the mat,
yep.
rather.
Yep, leave the key right under the flower pot. You know what I mean?
Jeez, oh, Pete. All right, so we are dead set on now night one. Punk and Seth freaking Rollins.
Well, wait. We need to know when that timetable for that injury come back.
He hasn't been ruled out yet. Not formally.
He hasn't been ruled out?
No.
So he may be able to make it to WrestleMania. Now, if he can make it to WrestleMania in any type of reasonable I bet you will with that crazy woman in your ear.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There we go.
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, if he's in any type of reasonably great shape, I know CM Punk would take care of him in the ring. So I think he knows that. I think he knows that Punk is a guy that you can be safe with in the ring, and they're gonna make a great match out of it. So CM Punk and Seth happen night one. What do you do with Cody Rhodes? What do you do?
This is what why I am completely
now. See, that is a triple threat match I could tolerate.
Oh, you can't do that.
CM Punk, Cody, and listen, look, because here's how it aligns. CM Punk, Cody. Matter of fact, because Seth needs the help. He might be injured. CM Punk, Cody, and Seth, triple threat match for that title. Seth wins that. Cody wins that belt, and somehow or another, be able to walk into night two. And maybe you do have The Rock get one over on Roman, and somehow or another you work away into Cody beating The Rock, and Cody unifying the title. See, that's what I'm saying. The Rock just throw a monkey wrench in that. Listen, you saw how I deflated has the end of my sentence. You saw how, even I couldn't even bring it home, bro. I couldn't even bring it home. I don't know. How do you do this, man? How do you end that chapter, bro? Like, what I'm saying is, here's what I think. Here's what needed to happen. Again, if you end the streak, if you end that chapter of Roman Reigns' legacy with a loss, it's got to be to the guy who can't lose to him in a rematch immediately. He's got to be a stumbling block that's going to take work to overcome. And that's got to be a guy that's going to put time in. Either that's going to be CM Punk, which I know that they don't, nobody wants that. Though the fans want it, CM Punk fans would want that. Nobody really wants that. I think they would want CM Punk over Cody or over Seth. But CM Punk and Roman Reigns, nobody wants that. Cody could beat him. Seth.
So Bully Ray.
Yeah, Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yep.
Yeah. Bully Ray
has suggested that Rhodes would square off against Punk at Mania after Punk defeats Rollins ahead of the show.
Beautiful. It gives because listen, because
you're watering it down. Golly,
no, but you have to, because you put the Rock there, bro. They had to do something. Cody got to be able to walk out of WrestleMania with a belt.
You know what? You've spent so much time telling me that The Rock wasn't an icon. And now we have to water down this beautiful moment that could be in order to accommodate this guy who is not even deserving. You got to understand where you don't understand where the accommodation comes from. The Rock is a benefactor of the accommodation, but it's not to him. It's the fact that you got to justify how do you end Roman Reigns' run? How do you end that story? How do you end that chapter? How do you land that plane? But by losing to The Rock, you tell me what's a soft landing here? What's our golden parachute for Roman Reigns?
He beats
Losing
The Rock
to a legend who's not even going to be there.
Yeah, he got to win. That's what I'm saying. But for that reason, why bring The Rock back if you're just gonna put him in with another guy?
I guess
that's a waste of money. See, that's a waste of money. That's a waste of money. That's a waste of money to put. The Rock don't need nobody else to get a marquee match with. He don't need nobody else. We know that. But you're telling a story that contradicts The Rock's presence. The Rock's presence in Roman Reigns' story, the story that they've told with him, is a problem. Because I can't see The Rock beating him.
I can't either. And that's why I'm with you that.
But then why you bring him back just to lose?
The dog and pony show of bringing him out there.
But why you bring him back just to lose?
Is that to simply pad the stats for Roman? To give validity?
Right, but here's the thing.
Title for as long as he has?
He don't, but this is what I'm saying. This ain't the Roman Reigns that needs The Rock help to be over anymore. It ain't like the fans is out there booing him because they were like, remember Roman Reigns' first run at the belt. Oh. Right. Remember remember he also, when they totally ruined the streak, remember he was the last person to beat The Undertaker at a WrestleMania. They booed the hell out of him then. They booed him out the building. Who? That is a version of Roman Reigns that would have needed The Rock to help.
Okay.
That's a version of Roman Reigns that The Rock could come back and do the job and do business with and do the job for. That version of Roman Reigns. Sure. This ain't that. Okay? This ain't that.
I couldn't agree more. But
nevertheless, he's here. And nevertheless, that's why I say he a problem. And I'm saying The Rock benefits from accommodating The Rock is a benefactor for you accommodating the story, because I can't see The Rock losing to Roman I can't see The Rock beating Roman Reigns. I won't like it. I won't like it. I won't accept it.
No, because I feel that's the thing, and this is why I'm suggesting the only way that you put this together is not because of some Instagram post. He's really gone out of his way to by way of Pat McAfee show and some of these others where it was floated around that he potentially would join. I think, was it Elimination Chamber? That's supposed to be in Australia. One of these events where, but they've kind of nixed all of those past ideas. And that's why I'm really sitting here kind of beside myself as to why The Rock, why now, if Roman doesn't need him, because if holding the title this long, how close is he to holding it for like the longest in history? He's getting up there. Am I right?
No, he's not like already 5 years.
Surpassed?
I mean,
held it longer.
Wasn't they held that belt for like 7 years? Bruno Sammartino, he held the belt for like 7 years. He had like 2 runs of over 1,000 days.
Wow.
Yeah, he held the belt for like seven years, I want to say. Hold on. Let me see here. Let's see. Rockin' Robin. Okay, so hold on. All right. Yeah, Roman Reigns, Bruno Sammartino held the Worldwide Wrestling Federation title for 2,803 days.
Oh, and it was Bob Backlund. That was 2,100. That's the day the number I was thinking of.
Okay, so Bob Backlund. See, so now when it comes to Bob Backlund, that's the WWF title. Yeah, he held the belt for. That would make an Iron Sheik, seeing as one who brought Bob to an end in '83. It's worth noting that Antonio Inoki took the title from Backlund in '79 before dropping it shortly after, but the WWE doesn't recognize Inoki's victory. A couple of years until during this period, Graham. Okay, 78. Bob Backlund never backed down from a challenge. 2,135-day champion tier. Fought tooth and nail to remain at the top. Caught successful. Rebranded itself in '79. He's technically the first WWF champion. That would make the Iron Sheik second, since he's the one that brought in '83. So from '78 until '83, Bob Backlund held the title. And Roman and Bruno Sammartino, he held the belt from 63. Yeah, he held the belt from 63 till 71.
So let me ask you this. At over 1,200 days in, and this is where I question, was it a mistake? Because remember, Finn Balor had it for like 20 hours, feels like.
Yeah, because he got injured in the match that he wanted.
Right. So was that a mistake?
Was what a mistake?
Should he have never won that? Because at that point, what they would have done if you would have combined those 2 runs, that Roman would have had it. We're talking he's at 2,500 days at that point, arguably approaching Sammartino's within a year, within less than a year.
Yeah, no,
and then your fight, or this current fight of him and Rock, cements him as one of the greatest of all time, or as he goes on to approach being the greatest of all time, because during that run he faced Cody, who would likely have won one of the titles, right? We'll assume night one.
Mhm.
He'll probably defend or become and unify those titles within that upcoming calendar year where we're standing now.
Okay.
And this is why I'm saying this is such a mistake all across the board, because it's too late to nix what occurred. And so you have to ask yourself, what is this fight meant to do? Because if he were to lose this, he would fall short of, he would fall kind of right between Bruno Sammartino's the number 4 and Hulk Hogan at 3. So where are they trying to put him is really kind of like, because you really are talking about legacy at this point. Just when it may sound like, yes, we're just talking about WrestleMania, but in reality, we're actually talking about Roman Reigns' legacy during this run.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right. You're absolutely right. This is what I'm saying. This is what the Rock problem is. It's a rock solid problem. It's a rock solid problem because he needs to beat The Rock.
Oh man.
Oh man!
I told you she does not like that woman. I don't know what it is.
Hey, Rhea Ripley, man,
bail me out,
man. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. Man, I don't know what to tell you.
So now you're at 1,200 days. You're at 1,200 days. Currently, we're saying he's top 5 all time. We're acknowledging that 100%.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, I think, to some degree, because you know what?
He found
whoa. Because they're talking, no, that was the reigning championships, WWE championships of all time. So yes, it would. I was about to talk of Gunther's reign.
Gunther is the NXT champ. He's not the major title.
Right.
Okay.
So
Gunther's the Intercontinental champion, right?
Correct.
Oh no, NXT United Kingdom champion.
Yep, he was. Let's see. It was 586 days. And I thought he had passed Pedro Morales at 619.
Who did?
Gunther.
Oh, with the Intercontinental title?
Yeah, I was almost positive he was like a day or two short.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, look at that. 586 days.
Hey, man, can you pull that up on the screen?
Absolutely. This is what I mean. Like we're talking that this is a rare error.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when you're discussing, great quality matches, but you're not talking about somewhat indoctrinating where they stand in the long run with all of this.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. How do you end that? How does The Rock end that?
Right, there we go. I had to get that off my screen there. And here we go. Look at this. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Gunther,
586 days.
But look at look, real quick. Scroll up. Why isn't The Miz in this banner? And I don't like The Miz as like, why would it be those 4? Like, what did The Miz do? First of all, the greatest Intercontinental champion to me is the guy that they got.
Whoa. The Miz?
Yeah. I mean, why isn't he in this banner here?
Oh, okay. I'm like,
whoa. And I'll put it this way. All right. Because I see what Gunther's done with the belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shawn Michaels, I get that one. Ultimate Warrior, I kind of get it. I sort of get that one. Mr. Perfect was the greatest Intercontinental champion to me. Period. Like he was the greatest to me, even more than Shawn Michaels. Probably because he spent more time with it because that was his ceiling, Mr. Perfect. But that, yeah.
I mean, Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean,
Big E Langston. Hold on, let's see. AJ Styles, Shinsei. He had it. Okay.
Now, this is the beauty of this. Hang on, let me let me go ahead and open this, or rather, how do I?
They give you 2020 to present, and then you got to go now.
Yeah, look at that. Longest reign based on the year.
Yeah, based on the decade.
Yeah, I apologize. Yep, the decade.
Okay.
And so okay, here we go, right?
Yeah.
450.
Honky Talk Man.
Ultimate Warriors at 215.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimate again, 215. Yep.
The Honky Talk Man held that belt.
But look at, why is the Macho Man being? See, whoa! This is where I really get bothered by the politics of this.
Yeah.
Why are they doing that to him?
Who?
To Randy Savage.
Because he didn't end his time in the WWE amicably.
I don't care.
And he died before. Nah, it didn't matter. I mean, you see, he didn't end his time amicably, and you see.
But look at, they let Punk right back in with open arms.
No.
Maybe not open arms, but
no. But see, they had a conversation.
Oh,
see, no. Understand this. They had a conversation. They were able to have a conversation, and I think, and that conversation never happened with Randy.
But you know what? Did they ever have the conversation with the Ultimate Warrior?
Yeah, they did.
They did.
Of course, they did.
Yeah.
Remember, they gave it. Remember, which was so eerily tragic. Remember when he got his Hall of Fame speech? He made that speech, and he died the next day. And I could tell that he was going to go, because if you remember when he came in the ring with that coat that he had on and he shook the ropes, you remember how he kind of paced? Do you remember, if you ever see that speech when he came in and he shook the ropes?
Yeah,
you could tell, because he was like, man, he don't look that good. Because I remember you could tell. But point is, they made amends, right? Savage in the WWE never went.
And that pains me, dude. I mean, because those guys, this is why when we threw out those third wheels,
mm-hmm.
and the crazy part is, in that original era, if we want to call it that, of the Ric Flair, Hogan,
mm-hmm.
Ultimate Warrior, and Randy Savage is right there.
He is,
and that when
they had a great title match
together, and that feud, and the way that, that handshake, that iconic handshake, not the Marty Jannetty getting kicked, getting thrown through the glass.
I love it.
And Marty Jannetty, I think he's on my Facebook. That guy is, he needs to. I don't know if they can make amends with him. He still seems a little.
Yeah, he got kicked in the face. That's the last time you seen him, bro. Like. And he ain't tried to work in WCW, it just never worked. Like, he was all, I mean, yeah. I can understand the level of vitriol and bitterness he may have for WWF.
So, but Shawn Michaels, who stole his career,
did he? I mean, all right.
I don't want to say stole. I'm being cynical.
All right, so listen. Let's see. Let's walk this through. Can you imagine Marty Jannetty versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12?
Yes, I could. Because if you had seen the Rockers,
Marty Jannetty versus Diesel at WrestleMania 11.
No.
Okay, how? If you can't see Marty Jannetty versus Diesel at WrestleMania 11, how could you see Marty Jannetty versus? Because you don't get one without the other. You don't get that. And
I know. And Shawn had a work ethic that was just in a different stratosphere, and then same with his presence on the mic.
Right.
I love Shawn Michaels. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like he there's a Montreal screw job for Marty Jannetty. There really is. He is a part of that.
Yeah.
That comeback that should have had he should have, when they gave him another chance. So he is one of those guys that will be the what ifs.
Marty Jannetty, you saying?
Oh, absolutely. Because I think what Shawn Michaels went on to do showed what Marty Jannetty could have done.
That's I think. All right, there is a means to move on. All right, it's like breaking up with somebody. There's a justification for breaking up somebody, and then for parting ways. But then there's that's separate from the level of tact and by which it happens. The idea to move and understand, Ms. Alva, I'm not a big fan of The Miz, but with all due respect,
well, why is that? Hang on a second. Let's elaborate.
What?
We've never gone down this avenue with you before. This is
about The Miz?
Absolutely.
I had to learn to respect what it is. It's like, all right, when I say The Miz, I'm purely being objective. Because subject to my opinion, I don't think he's as great a Intercontinental Champion. Like, I remember seeing what Mr. Perfect could do with that belt. Okay. And Mr. Perfect coming up short versus Bret Hart. I remember that match. What made Ultimate Warrior cool was that he was such an electric personality, and he had the different color belt. I remember Ultimate Warrior because he had the different color straps. Why they let him get away with that? I don't know. He had a powder blue one, he had a yellow one, and I think he also had a white strap, or I think Mr. Perfect had a white strap too. That made that title look cool. And then the fact that he was the first person to unify the belts, even though they didn't, by virtue of beating Hulk Hogan, he forfeited the title. He was the first unified champion. The Ultimate Warrior was. So I guess there's some significance there. But I think in terms of a run, The Miz had a better run certainly than the Ultimate Warrior. But he didn't have a better run than me than Mr. Perfect or Shawn Michaels. Even Bret Hart had a great run with it.
But don't you remember, like, SummerSlam '98, dude, of as much grief as you give Triple H, but him versus The Rock in that ladder match?
Right. Yeah. That was a key moment for
But this is why I'm asking with The Miz, he had that Dolph Ziggler match. And Dolph Ziggler, talk about guys that go into that Marty Jannetty box for me.
Yes.
Just so unfulfilled, and it hurt, it like pains me in a way that is just in rare air.
For what reason? For what? It's because I think people this is what I'm saying. Like remember, this kind of like the Joe Flacco argument I was making about Joe Flacco. They just decided he wasn't it, but there was nothing about his body work to prove that he couldn't handle it. Remember in his later runs. Remember it's about 9 years ago now. Remember the Survivor Series match that Dolph Ziggler was the only. Remember he was he knocked off everybody and stuff, right? And they saw how the fans reacted. The pop that he had,
dude. It was on. Oh my gosh!
Hey, what is it? What they call it? What is it? What they call it? The Road Warrior pop that he got.
Yes,
man,
it was.
And that was at a time, and remember that came at a time when they had already decided to move on from him for like 2-3 years. He never got what he deserved. He was definitely able. Imagine him being in the picture when they brought AJ Styles around, or when Cody arrived, or when Seth Rollins arrived. Imagine him being in the WWE title picture.
This is, you know what, and this is why I think this is certainly an element to why it hurts so much. Yeah. Because when you say it that way, and what that tells me is when you think of Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog in '92, if you remember I'm trying to think of, there was a oh, wait a minute, Hogan in Ultimate Warrior. Like when you have that, that's for the Intercontinental title. That's when you add all the merit to belts that weren't just the belt.
Yes, to the mid-major titles, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Those are the titles that not only, first of all, those are the matches that legitimize a wrestler as being a marquee guy. And then because it does that, it also further legitimizes the title. So it's like, hey man, I think the Bulldog probably could handle a main event. Let's see how he does in this match with Brett, and give him the victory roll pin.
Dude.
Let Brett, and then you know what I'm saying. And then you make the argument. It never materialized, but like because I think it was all about Brett needed to drop the title so that way they knew they were going to they knew he was going to be next. They knew he was going to be the next man to be the WWF title champion. So,
right.
But still, the match was like, oh, he was able to get the Bulldog to this point. What? The Bulldog as a singles competitor is a legit champ, is an Intercontinental champ. Yo, that's great. Mr. Perfect in his titles. That's what I'm saying. Even for the Miz versus I forgot. Like his run as an Intercontinental champion. I dismissed. My bad. You know what I'm saying? My bad.
Dude, Kurt Hennig was incredible, and it just does. It pains me. Like I'm glad his title run was as well. You know, as they had the length there, because it could have been, to those that aren't savants, could be forgotten, and it would be a tragedy.
Right.
And obviously, you know, his match versus Brett in SummerSlam that year, I think the year before, one of the ones that I had mentioned a moment ago. You know, you just think of those types of things, and they go into a top 10 conversation in themselves, not just limited to that belt, but because they had that type of it exceeded any type of expectation anyone could have ever imagined. So again, seeing this, but this is where I do question the Miz what is that for the Miz? And this is why when you talk about him not being added to that list, you know, because when you think of that title specifically, you have you know, depending on how you feel, you have a Benoit versus a Jericho match. You have a Jericho Rey Mysterio match. You have you know, but where is that iconic Miz match that, unless you wanted to go, what year was that? I almost was thinking like 2015, but
you talk about the Miz and Ziggler?
No. Cesaro was in it, and Kevin Owens, I think. But yeah, right around that same time.
Extreme Rules 2016.
That sounds right. I was thinking 2015, but I could be off. Yeah,
the Fatal 4-Way, Intercontinental Fatal 4-Way. Yeah. Again, I'm not a fan of Fatal 4-Ways for titles. I'm not a fan of more than, you know, a one-on-one for a title. But no, that was a great match.
So, but this is what I mean. Like, because look, I had only one-on-one that was like in my mind that came, you know, that immediately came to mind. But that was because I was like, and it sounds like you were too. You saw what I saw in Dolph Ziggler that is instantly like he brought the best out of the Miz that day.
Yeah. Right. You know what I'm saying? Champions, that's how you know how good a worker is. They lose, and you don't know what it looks like for them to lose, how I make the champ look, to understand that, yeah, I carried. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to disrespect the Miz in that way to say he got carried, but Dolph brought out the best of him. Ricky Steamboat or Savage brought out the best of Ricky Steamboat. Right?
Yeah, valid. Absolutely.
Right. Heck, Savage brought out the best of Ultimate Warrior. I was going to tell you, remember, they main evented the WrestleMania after WrestleMania 7.
That's right.
In the draw.
Oh,
and like,
God.
yeah,
See what I mean? Yeah. Did you needed an I'm sorry? Like, let it go. Like, embrace like what it was. Time should have healed that already. That especially now. The problem I have with it is now look what happened. Right, you let a personal thing, and now you've sold. Right, you let it go. You let the company go.
Yep.
These people aren't going to remember that.
Right.
You're not going to go and try to give him his flowers. That was your job.
Yeah.
And you let something personal get in the way that happened, again, 30 plus years ago. It's like, come on, Vince.
Yeah, man, that was an opportunity because for him to come back. Yeah, and now he passed, and then his brother passed last year too, Lanny Poffo. So yeah, he was one of my favorites, man. He was one of my favorites for sure. But
oh my gosh, you know what it is with her? He did that Real World Road Rules challenge.
Yeah, he from Cleveland, bro. Like,
well, of course that too. Now, don't get me wrong. It
was Dolph Ziggler, but Nick Nemeth.
But he ended up with Maurice, and so I can't hate on the man for that.
See, you about to listen. She done packed both of your bags. Listen, I got it. Oh, it's a FedEx. Wait a minute. Your FedEx already here. First you said Rhea Ripley, bro. Listen. I'm gonna tell you what. If she serve you a drink, tell her to sip it first.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
All right.
Wait a minute. That's a double-edged sword in itself. I'm the one standing.
You said Maurice.
Oh, see that?
Yeah, he started on the roof. Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh.
The Miz.
See, here it comes. Now, This is what I was wondering. Where is the disdain for the Miz?
Who, me?
Is it based on Dolph Ziggler? Did the Miz get what Dolph Ziggler should?
Yeah, I think he kind of did, but I don't understand why both. Like, if you saw what they did as Intercontinental Champion, you mean to tell me that couldn't that couldn't have been a main event? That couldn't have been a WWE title match?
Oh, absolutely, 110%.
Like, have him relegated to the mid card is makes no sense to me. When he was capable of so much more. And I don't know if it was behind the scenes. I can't see what besides backstage politics kept him from reaching that ceiling.
But how did the Miz get that? Is it because they wanted to blend? Did they want to enter that space of reality TV?
I feel like they did. I feel like they decided. And I'm gonna tell you like this. I think this is where professional wrestling and other quote unquote non-scripted sports have in common. And again, this kind of references my Joe Flacco argument. Or which is it's kind of funny because I actually like the Miz, but I hated him on the Real World and on the challenge. Yeah, he grew on me, you know what I'm saying? I have respect for what he put in to being a champ, and I respect that work or whatnot, but what I was gonna say as far as in reference to Dolph Ziggler, you know how people comment when, let's say, a team, all right, what was that not too long ago? Was it Trey Lance, the quarterback that got traded?
Yeah.
And why that was such a big deal. It was such a big deal because he was a number 1 draft pick. Why would you do a number 1 draft pick that way? And it was a travesty because he was just the number 1 draft pick. What I'm saying is they've decided on something, so they stuck with it. And so it had to go the way it had to go because that's the decision that they made. And that was simply it. It was not there's no sign of, you know what, let's rethink this thing. Let's double back. I think we got this wrong. That's my point. Like, they decided, we're going to go with the Miz. And the Miz gave them the best that he could. And in some respects, I don't know that he gave you something more than Dolph did. That's what I'm saying. I don't see what Miz did that Dolph couldn't do. And if you put Miz in under these spotlights where they're bright, how that moment was too big for Dolph? I don't understand it. I don't understand. I don't see that.
I'm typically the guy who will come up with a rebuttal, and I'm telling you, it lights a fire in me that I can't do it.
Like we never seen him. Like we never seen the Miz. I mean, we remember he did have the WWE. Hold on, how did they split it up when they had the 2 belts? He had the World Heavyweight Champ. He had the big gold belt for a while.
Well, this is what I was going to show you here, because this is what we have access to right now.
Okay.
And are you seeing? Oh, is it still up there?
Yeah, it's up there now.
Okay. So we can actually. Which one were you referring to? Was it?
No, the belt that I'm referring to is not here yet. Okay, so hold on, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Oh,
right, pause. That belt, he had that one.
You're right.
He had that title.
But look at the class here: Batista, Triple H, and of course it's a retired belt, but
yeah, it was just handed to Triple H. He just got it handed to him. Go here. Expand the 2010 to 2019 decade.
Okay,
because this is where you would see Dolph Ziggler had that title. And somewhere around the time of Alberto Del Rio. Yeah, right. He cashed it in.
But you already knew that.
He had it for 2 months. And then they put it right back on Alberto Del Rio. Because I remember he was a heel at the time. And he had the Money in the Bank and he cashed it in.
Dude, Sheamus was untouchable during that time with that bro kick.
Yeah, right.
So was Daniel Bryan.
Well, yeah, you saw what happened to Daniel Bryan's face. That match lasted 7 seconds.
There's some images out there. There was a house show that they did in Hammond, Indiana.
Yeah,
this was CM Punk's when his last show would be the following night, in Rosemont, Illinois.
Yeah,
and so I attended that one also. But we had like row 1 at this event, so all the the high fives and such, and it was just Sheamus ended up coming out at that one and competing, and we were just shocked because he was the title holder at that point in time. So very, very, very cool. But man, Ziggler,
yeah,
I'm seeing these belts, man, and it pains me that they couldn't find a home for him.
Yeah, or they didn't. They decided not to. like I just it's agitating because I don't see how he couldn't have handled that. I don't see how he couldn't have handled that stage. How he couldn't have carried. How you couldn't have a Dolph Ziggler versus Randy Orton.
I'm almost positive we did.
If you can get a Dolph Ziggler versus Jinder Mahal, if you can get a Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal story, if you can get a Jinder Mahal Randy Orton program, you can get a Dolph Ziggler Randy Orton program. You mean for the WWE Championship? You couldn't put him in the ring with John Cena you couldn't put Dolph Ziggler in the ring with CM Punk for the WWE title and it not work. You can't be serious.
Agreed. When you had guys like Kane, with at that point,
is this the World Heavyweight title?
Yes.
All right, cool. Wait a minute, the WWE oh no, this is the World Heavyweight title. Okay.
Yep, it was brought to Raw by Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, he just handed it to Triple H.
Jeez.
he just walked out. I remember that he just walked out and just handed him a bill. It was like, yo, you the champ. Like, all right, thanks. Like,
wow,
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's one of the most significant moments in Triple H's title history. Name it. All right, this is what I'm saying. When I go back, going all the way back to what I said. here's what you have. You've got Stone Cold Steve Austin blacking out in the sharpshooter versus Bret Hart, a defining match. You've got Stone Cold Steve Austin beating Shawn Michaels for the WWE title, defining match. You've got The Rock actually losing to Brock Lesnar, defining match. Name Triple H's marquee matches.
Wow. I'm trying. Well, wait a minute. No, he beat.
You got The Rock versus
Whoa.
Stone Cold WrestleMania. You got 3 WrestleManias worth of The Rock versus Stone Cold.
Right.
Stone Cold ended up 2-1. All 3 of them classics. Give me Triple H's classic matches that compete on the level of those.
SummerSlam 98
versus The Rock.
98.
All right,
yep,
cool.
Correct.
Give me 2 more.
Yeah.
Give me 2 more.
Wait, was that Triple H against? No, that was Randy Orton against. Crap. I hate to say it, they would probably all have to be against
Triple H or The Rock.
Yeah.
But I gave you Triple H, or I gave you Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, you don't have a Triple H versus Stone Cold Bret Hart match, or you probably wouldn't, because it ended up being a real fight. And I think Triple H probably put hands on Bret, but Bret probably put hands on him. It'd end up bad. It'd be bad and bloody.
Well, you know what was a good one, though, more recently, I would have said, and you could tell me if you don't feel the same way. It's fine. I'm fine with that. When him and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, yep.
I thought that one when it exceeded what I thought it was going to be. And then that other than that SummerSlam 98, I'm trying to think.
No, that's in fairness, because I was like, because Brock was a monster. I mean, he's always been a monster, but he really was a monster with a mean streak. Remember, because that's when he would do that arm bar where he break people's arm. Remember, he put Shawn Michaels in it.
Yeah, sure do.
And so for him, wait a minute, and if I'm not mistaken, was it in that match? Wasn't it Triple H that powerbomb Brock over the steps, or was it the other way around? No, I thought Triple H did that in that match.
No, Triple H did.
So you might think I'm hating on him, but no, I had a lot of respect for him, because I'm like, I think he could actually beat Brock. He could actually stand up to him, because Brock was just running through everybody except for Goldberg. But I think he could stand up to him. And then I didn't think that he would be able to beat The Undertaker. I actually thought Shawn Michaels probably could have done it. But actually, I'm gonna tell you.
Because Shawn Michaels beat Triple H, and that was 2002 or so. Also.
Yeah, for the World Heavyweight title. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now I remember. I tell you the one person I thought that could have beat CM Punk. I mean, it could have beat The Undertaker for the street. I thought CM Punk was gonna do it. I really did. I thought that when the whole 20, remember, because he had the whole t-shirts, it was like 20, it was 20 in Punk. You know what I'm saying? I really thought that he was going to be able to do it. And that match and that storytelling, man, I thought he was going to be able to do it. And I can see why he had a big grievance behind not being able to main event of WrestleMania, considering that match. I don't even remember the main event at that WrestleMania.
I don't either.
What was it? Wasn't it Brock? Wasn't it The Rock, Cena in that WrestleMania? I think it was.
I'm trying to think.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look that up. Yeah, I think that was. Hold on, let's see. WrestleMania 29, yeah.
Wow.
Let me take a look. Yeah. Yeah, that was the whole John Cena defeated The Rock to win the title. And CM Punk, yeah.
Wow.
And,
So
yeah.
So ultimately, we're talking legacy. We'll put a ribbon on this. How much is this simply a one and done? He defeats The Rock. He in itself becomes an icon. If there was any question as to if he were or not, and then we potentially we fast forward another 365 and find ourselves potentially closing some chapters or somewhere in between on Cody Rhodes entering that space. Because it has to end. At some point, the reign has to end. So it is this on is he worthy of beating Bruno Sammartino's record?
Who is Roman Reigns?
Yeah, is this what they're on pace to do?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely.
Really?
I told you, the only reason why I want the story to end is because that's the only part of the story missing. And again, I'm saying it's like a kid waiting for Christmas. You just want to open the prize because you know it's coming. Like you can still wait. You still got think about it. Christmas Day, Christmas break analogy, right? Christmas break, you out of school for 2 weeks. Let's say Christmas break happens to be the time where it falls where you're out of school for an entire week before Christmas Day happens, and you get all the presents, toys, and everything else. You got that whole week of being able to get up when you want, being able to go to sleep when you want, play with the toys when you want, do whatever you want to do, see your friends, family, whatever else, right? So you good. But you know Christmas is coming. And you know the new toys and stuff you asked for, whatever else. So you're not upset or disappointed or mad or angry. You just know Christmas is coming. So you just want it to be because you know it's Christmas. You know what I'm saying? You know it's that time to open presents and all of that. I'm saying that's the only part left. The only part left of Roman Reigns' story is the end. But it's being told so good. It's like, man, I could for example, I could see them doing this for a whole nother year. I could have until The Rock showed up.
Whoa, how does that
Because what I'm saying is if The Rock show up, why would The Rock show up just to lose? Because this is what I'm saying, like I'm telling you before. Roman Reigns doesn't need serious, and when I say serious help, Roman Reigns doesn't need serious help to get over with the crowd. This is a crowd that accepts him at being a heel. They boo him just because that's the story that they're told. They're not booing him because they authentically hate him. So he don't need the help to make people like him again. He don't need that help. He needed help to make people like him. That's why The Rock came down and saved him in that Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. And they booed it, and they had to turn down the audio because the boos were deafening. Remember that? I
sure do.
It was so bad that The Rock mixed up his lines when they was interviewing him in the back. That's how frustrating it was. Roman Reigns, thankfully, and with all due respect to him as a person, he's overcome that. People only booing him because that's the story that's being told. He don't need the help. But you brought him back.
I think you're bringing him back because when you retell the tale, it withstands the test of time. It cements his legacy that he beat an icon that otherwise, to my knowledge, we don't have any of that for Roman Reigns yet.
Does The Rock? Go ahead.
Well, I think we would know these characters that he's beaten in a recency test, but how many of them are Hall of Famers?
AJ Styles. He beat him. He beat Brock.
Right. So we got one.
AJ Styles ain't gonna be a Hall of Famer. AJ Styles gonna be a Hall of Famer. He's beat the Undertaker.
I think he gets in there. Yeah.
He's beat the Undertaker.
But again, we're talking about the longest.
He's beat John Cena.
Okay. So yeah, see what I mean?
So he's beat 3 Hall of Famers now.
And then we'd probably throw Triple H in there because they would find a way to make that happen.
Okay, so he's already beaten guys. He already have legitimate clean wins over his contemporaries, his Hall of Fame contemporaries.
But now you got guys chomping at the bit like Randy Orton who wants one more run. He's already on record. I sent that into Discord of saying he can go through as many as 2.
Now, see, that's a great one to have, but how do you do it after he loses to The Rock?
And that's where I start questioning that length of time.
He loses to The Rock, but he get the title back in the Nah, what if along the way he? This was maybe
they screwed up, dude. They should have never let. This would have been the perfect time. This would have been the perfect time.
Afterward, see, this is what I'm saying. If The Rock, if Roman Reigns wins clean at WrestleMania, then The Rock show up the night after, and then he say he wants to be head of the table, then you got a whole nother year to be able to do it. You know what I mean? You got a whole lot more time.
Yeah, he interrupts a couple pay-per-views here and there sporadically.
Then you set this up at SummerSlam.
Yep. A non-title fight against, whether it's Uso, Cody Rhodes, Triple H, someone, again, his pin streak is being reset. Is actually allows for him to take a couple L's along the way.
Exactly.
But that's why I'm really bewildered. Similar to, it sounds like equally with you, that putting The Rock in here now, when Cody Rhodes is being dangled, it could easily be placed in both of these conversations, and don't Dolph Ziggler Cody Rhodes.
He's not gonna stand. Well, I mean, shoot, yeah, he's not gonna stand for. Well, is he gonna stand for it or not? But it's like, this is why I came back, because I can do this now, right? I can do this now.
Exactly.
Why would you have me wait? I don't know, man. We're gonna have to figure this out, bro. I gotta see what they plan to do with The Rock, man. Like, is The Rock gonna have any match before WrestleMania?
From what I understood, the event that was coming up in Australia, it sounds like they were gonna try to get him in there, but that's may or may not occur. I think it may need to. It's to some extent, but now you're talking about with that filming that's upcoming for the next Fast and Furious. That is it complicates stuff. But oh my gosh. So nevertheless, we'll definitely we'll look out for those that do come into contact with this video. Definitely let us know your thoughts. But in the meantime, even our host is probably asleep at this point. So we're going to end up, we'll let the world and ourselves chew on this. And those, if you're ever interested, join the Discord. We can absolutely get you a link for that and have your say as well in the comment section. And otherwise, I think it was a successful run without our host, Austin 316 in terms of minutes on this program. So that may be a record. Otherwise, thank you to Gully for showing up and showing out on this one. And otherwise, this is Double J, and we will head on out and see you at the next one.
All right. Thank you, Barbershop, for having us on. Thank you to the fans. Remember to check us out here on the Discord, like you said, and you see us around. We love your comments, and we'll catch y'all next time. Thanks.